Morning, morning, all. Morning, morning. See who we have here. Morning, Roxanne. Blessed Sunday to you as well. Good morning, Daniela. Morning out there. Neil Francois, good morning. Valine Williams, morning to you. Yes, Valine, you're early. See who's there. Rukman Kangadeen, good morning. Heather, morning. Rutrud, morning. Deborah, morning to you. Glenn Richardson, morning, morning, sir. Gillan, morning. See who I have on Facebook. Good morning to His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Mauricia. Pamela Moses, morning. Morning, Carol. Let's see. Morning, Deborah. Morning, Diane Charles, Minad Lazari, good morning. Ashlyn Robertson, morning. Marva James, morning. Morning, Allison Samuel, Gemma Alexander, morning to you. Ruth Frontin, Winston Jack, morning. Narcissus, morning to you. Alison Boyce, morning. Merle, Chris, Dexter, morning to all of you guys. Sarah, Kenneth, Gabriel, morning. Mercedes, Brereton, morning to you. Teresa Thomas. Back on this side, I have Mr. Flavor TT, good morning. Corporate Wellness, morning. Charmaine Superville, Angie Sherry, morning. Holly Legal, good morning to you. David Clark, morning. Denise, Angela Wells, Dawn Khan, morning. Keith Marshall, Christopher Serrett, good morning to all of you guys. Something here. Right. Lucy Brown, morning. Annette Hunt, morning to you. Don Joseph, Natalie Faria, Joyce Joseph, morning. Jaden Pose, 66. Morning, Jaden Pose. Charmaine Superwell. Right. Teresa Francis, morning, morning. Eva Smith, Pivy, is it? Winston Jack, good morning, sir. Winston is joining us from New York City. New York, a visit to New York is well overdue. Let's see what I could do in the next 2 months, sir. Even if it's to run up for 3 days or something, just to taste the cold and come back. That trip has been overdue for the last 2 years, and then 2021. Henry Lyons, morning. Shah, morning. Phyllis Antoine, good morning to you. Morning, Claire. Zion Genesis, Nicole Graves, morning. So, it's 11:07. I guess the other guys will join in as we proceed. So many things have happened over the last few days. You know, at the end of every live, I always say, well, within recent times, let's see what transpires over the course of the next couple of days for us to touch on. And I don't know why Facebook is giving me stress this morning, but all right. Okay, let's see this here. Yeah, damn it. So, I don't know if you all would have looked at the Senate, the budget debate in the Senate. Wade Mark, Damian Leiter, and Robert Stock yet? Probably not. Not that I really care to hear what he has to say, but I expect that he's going to be his usual rude, disgusting self. This will be the first time that he's contributing to the budget debate. Well, all of them actually, where the presiding officer is not Christine Kangaloo. And we know how he tends to relate to former Senate President Christine Kangaloo. So now he has to contend with Nigel De Freitas, who is a no-nonsense guy. And just like Christine Kangaloo has no qualms about putting Mr. Roberts in his place, right? But again, this is another crave your indulgence morning. No, and you all know whenever I say that, it means that I'm going to play something from one of those idiots who we really don't like to listen to, but for context, I just feel that I need to, right? Let me just get this here. I don't know why Facebook is giving me stress. Maybe it's trying to tell me it's time for me to upgrade today. Yeah. All right, we'll deal with it. So, where to start, boy? Where to start? All right, let me deal with the main topical issue that highlights the pettiness, how petty citizens of Trinidad, some citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are. And in particular, citizens who hold high office. And, you know, the irony of ironies, right? Especially coming from the dog liar. A man that I make no bones to say I do not like him. I wouldn't say I hate him. I don't like him. I have no respect for him because he has no respect for the citizens of this country. In the way that he carries about himself as a senator, he has no respect, right? The way that he relates to the prime minister, members of government, the things that he says when he does his lives, and any opportunity that he gets, any public platform that he gets to ill-speak the government or members of the government, right? So as far as I'm concerned, he's totally unfit to be anywhere near the hallowed halls of our parliament, whether it be the lower house, the upper house. He's not even fit to mop the corridor. He's not even fit to sweep around the Red House. He should not be anywhere near the Red House, that disrespectful twat that he is. But anyway, so I crave your indulgence this morning to just, right? Two things I want to play to show you how disgusting that man is. But anyway, so the hot topic, even outweighing or outshining the decision of the RIC to acquiesce to the request of TNTech for a rate increase, is the Prime Minister's attire at the closing of the Canada CARICOM summit that was held a couple of days ago. I'm sure most, if not all of you, would have seen the picture making the rounds with the Prime Minister wearing what appears to be, some say is a hoodie, a sweater. So he's casually dressed for what most of these folks think should have been formal, that he should have been formally dressed, you know, the usual way that we know Keith Rowley to dress. Even when he's given a press briefing, a press conference, whatever it is, we know Dr. Rowley always wears, he always has a jacket and the like and so on, right? Wherever it is that he goes in. But pettiness is a hell of a thing in this country. So it has now the criticism of Dr. Rowley's choice of attire, and I don't want to say choice because he didn't choose that attire for that event. We have since learned that there is no context to why the Prime Minister was dressed the way that he was, because there is a diplomat, just now I'll get his name here for you, just now, who has given the explanation as to what transpired and resulted in the Prime Minister being dressed the way that he was for this closing of the closing ceremony, whatever they want to call it, right? So it has now gone regional, and I don't know if it's reached international yet. But the fact that a foreign diplomat has now had to step in to basically tell, a foreign diplomat and another, prominent outsider has had to step in to basically tell Chinese, well, they're real petty, you know. Well, you're real small-minded, you know. Basically, that's what they say. These are the trivial things that you all want to make a mountain out of a molehill. Really? You all so small-minded? I mean, it throws my mind back to Gordon Butch Stewart when he decided that he was withdrawing Sandals, or his company, Sandals, the Sandals brand, from contemplation of building a hotel in Trinidad or building a Sandals resort in Trinidad. And he said basically, Trinidadians too petty. Everything for them is about politics, or they're too political. Or they like to make an issue out of a non-issue. All this sort of subterfuge and suspicion and all of that. We don't need that. We don't need you all tainting our international brand that has tens of thousands of patrons. This international brand, which attracts thousands of people every year. We don't need, you see this pettiness that taking place in Trinidad among you citizens. We don't need you all to our brand with that. So you know what? We're gone. Keep all your land. Sandals will continue to thrive and succeed wherever it is that we establish our footprint. And even if that means at the expense of Tobago, we will establish 2 and 3 sandals resorts in the same island. And so be it. All your loss. Yeah? Because all you like to take chain up from idiots the like of Anil Roberts, and to add to the new list, Jayanti Lakshmi Dayal, Marsha Walker, Rushton Parry, Inshan Ishmael. Yeah, this is a list of all the clowns who felt the need to put up a post about what the Prime Minister was wearing. And all of them, well, most of them, seemingly referring to the Prime Minister as a vagrant. He dressed like a vagrant. Well, I never see a vagrant dress so yet. Right? Because if I see a man on the street wearing what the Prime Minister was wearing, I certainly wouldn't think he's a vagrant. But apparently, in those situations, if you're dressed like that, you're a vagrant, right? And this is citizens of Trinidad and Tobago who are taking great pride in going on an international social media platform to denigrate the head of the executive of their country and think that they're doing something good. Yeah? You all think you're doing something good. Right. Talk about he going to beg and he looking destitute. I saw somebody put up something for 65 cents a day you could sponsor a poor child like this. They went on Photoshop and put a red cap or those one of those knitted hats they put on his head. And imagine you have supporters of that other party commenting under Anna Roberts' video saying, and where did he get that red hat from? He's such a disgrace. They cannot even understand Photoshop. But they knew, when they understood, they don't know what Photoshop looked like now, right? But when they knew what Photoshop looked like back in 2012, I think it was 2011, 2012 there. When it is that room 201, where we saw a live video, not a picture, a live video of a man looking like and sounding like the then Minister of Sports in a room, a hotel room, with what sounded to be 2 Spanish-speaking women wrapping what appeared to be an illegal substance, right? Talking about he's an English boy and he know how to wrap the thing. And he could drink whole day and whole night. He could drink rum whole day and whole night, but 2 pull, and he gone through. And then he came, when the video was discovered, he come and say, well, that was PNM Photoshop. He wasn't in no room, he don't know nothing about that. The PNM Photoshopped a video, a live video, Photoshopped that. Yeah? And superimposed his face and his voice. That didn't happen. And they bought that. They know, yes, that is Photoshop. We are Photoshop experts. We could look at that and say, yes, that was Photoshop. But you couldn't look at that picture where they put that because, or you could go back and you could have gone on YouTube and pull up the video as Mr. Roberts claims he did, and seen that at no point in time was the Prime Minister wearing any red hat. But here, the waterfront ilk. Do you know what is being debated? Ask Sheena. Everything good. Everything good. I here to support the Prime Minister. We supporting she, Mr. Awai from Region 127. He bring we here. Right. It's no wonder 309,000 of them voted for that party. Let me get to this, right? Oh, gosh, I'm being frustrated with this morning. Right. Permit me. As I tell all, there's 2 things I had to play from that clown, right? So let forgive me, right? Please. Please, beg it. Let me get this here. This no. Juju Bernard says, we know those on the other side is deep envy. That is exactly what it is. Regardless of how you feel about the Prime Minister, the level of hatred that you have for him, show some decorum. Show some decorum. I mean, me and what leaders do as a sharpness, I don't think I ever came across a post, well, where you see the citizens of she don't always do great things from time to time, but calling her vagrant and all them kind of thing. But anyway, let me play this first. Let me get this here. Let me play this first, right? Forgive me. I beg all your adult indulgence. I don't like to listen to your media, but so
Doubles and coffee.
Now, the sad part about this, right, is that Mr. Sanders, who is, I believe, a diplomat for Dominica, would have given context, as I said before, and an explanation as to why Dr. Rowley was dressed the way that he is. This clown, who unfortunately is a senator in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, appointed by the leader of the opposition, saw it fit to do a live to call this diplomat a liar, right? Now, he seems to lack the understanding that the position that you hold as a senator, you're not an ordinary citizen. If you were an ordinary citizen expressing an opinion like this, no problem. Chances are this video wouldn't reach very far. And even if it did, they just dismiss it, okay, he's a disgruntled citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. This man is a senator of Trinidad and Tobago, so his position carries weight. A senator in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago calling a foreign diplomat a liar. Yes.
Doubles and coffee. Keith Christopher Rowley dressed up like a vagrant in a press conference with the Prime Minister of Canada, Trudeau, and the President of Guyana, answering questions to the world, to the media in a Canada CARICOM forum. Looking like a complete idiot, embarrassing Trinidad and Tobago. And a man, a diplomat, Ronald Sanders, jumping Trinbagonian business. Because yes, he has been heavily criticized by people of all political affiliations and citizens of Trinidad and Tobago for his ridiculous decision to go to a press conference in the full glare of the media in a tracksuit, and not even a good-looking tracksuit. Not a red, white, and black tracksuit. A tracksuit that looked like it just rolled out the washing machine, and he rolled out from wherever he was to represent the red, white, and black. So, Mr. Sanders, I think you're a diplomat from Antigua. With all due respect, stay in your lane and mind your business. If he getting criticized by Trinidad and Tobago citizens, he had to take that. Then, Mr. Sanders, your explanation is absolutely ludicrous, trying to tell us that Rowley's some hero because he had long travel and he dressed up like a vagrant to travel. So, when a prime minister is traveling in VIP paid for by taxpayers' money, for first-class tickets and VIP lounges going to different countries in transit, a prime minister must dress appropriately, not in pajamas. So I don't know what you are speaking of. Even the president of the United States that has their own aircraft, Air Force One, and it could go anywhere, anyhow, anyway, dresses up in full suit, looking resplendent and presidential to walk on his own plane. So for you to tell us that our prime minister could dress like a vagrant because he have a few connections, are you serious, Mr. Sanders? Or were you drinking with Rowley the night before, scotch and strips? And then you said that Skerrett, the next one, who come down here in Trinidad to tell me how Rowley and he is good friend. And Rowley is not really an arrogant, aggressive fella, but he's better. He's actually nicer than he is. That Roosevelt Skerrett, Rowley was substituted for him on the fly. Why Rowley didn't just say no? President Ufanali is there. He can represent. He can speak. He can answer any question. What Keith Christopher Rowley could actually have to say that is so critically important that another well-dressed prime minister of CARICOM could not answer? You feel we don't know Rowley? Rowley have nothing to say important, whether involved in Trinidad and Tobago, whether crime, economy, unemployment, bad road infrastructure. You have nothing useful to say here. You are trying to tell us that he was so critically important. His intellect to answer questions at press conference was so important. He's so superior to other prime ministers in the CARICOM that he had to go like a vagrant to the press conference. Mr. Sanders, catch yourself. Catch your fallen self because you've embarrassed yourself. Keith Christopher Rowley embarrassed Trinidad and Tobago. He looked like a total clown. Your explanation makes it worse, Mr. Sanders. So stay in your lane. We have nothing to tell you. You keep cool and leave we to deal with we vagrant who the spranger who went to bed in a tracksuit. Understand this. So Rowley is no hero. He's a clown who has embarrassed Trinidad and Tobago. And so, any prime minister who's traveling is a representative of the nation, an ambassador at each and every airport. and must dress appropriately. What you telling us? That our children could say, well, boy, it's a long drive to school. Dress in a short pants and a jersey. Put on a hoodie and go and tell the teacher good morning. Don't wear black shoes. Look, Mr. Sanders, catch yourself. Stay out of we business. Okay, brother? Bless.
That is a senator. I repeat, a senator. The Trinidad and Tobago Parliament upbraiding a regional diplomat, an ambassador who has the full confidence of the Prime Minister and the government that appointed him. Now, I wonder how the Prime Minister, but he said Mr. Sanders is a diplomat from Antigua. I wonder how the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda would feel if he were to see this video, just live from a parliamentarian, a senator, Trinidad and Tobago, upbraiding one of his diplomats, his ambassadors, calling the man a clown, calling the asking whether or not the man was drinking with Dr. Rowley the night before, drinking scotch and eating shrimps. And again, that is a word that this consummate dunce should never use. Somebody need to tell this clown there is no T in shrimp. It's S. Somebody, SH. SH is not st. Somebody tell this clown that, please. If it is you know you have problems, you cannot pronounce the word, don't use it. Do not use it. But you wanted to say the man was drinking scotch and eating shrimps. This is, but he is an expert to want to tell people about decorum and how you must carry yourself, right? This is the same man who for Carnival this year was videotaped, recorded by the Savannah, right? A jersey, 3/4 pants, just almost below his bottom, right? And he know himself. Anil. Wait, is me the eyes Anil, boy? Hey, how you going? Anil, hey. Yes, you. We talking to you. You. Yes. Me? Yeah, your name is Anil. Aren't you Anil? Yeah. And that is how a parliamentarian should conduct yourself, right? You're pistoratically drunk, to use colloquial expression. You ain't know how you reach in the savannah and how you leave the savannah, right? People catch you. You lean up with a cup in hand, drunk like a fish. And that is how, that is not an embarrassment. That was not embarrassment. No, that is how a parliamentarian should conduct themselves. Yeah? But he want to come and tell the Prime Minister how he should dress and then go further to be disrespectful to a regional diplomat. Right? So he calling the man a liar. Okay. Let me just pull this up here. One quick minute. So, to put into context, just I don't know if let me see something here. Right. So based on what was put out, Mr. Sanders would have posted a statement stating, and I quote, "Regrettably, many of the comments made here do a great injustice to Prime Minister Rowley, who was an outstanding voice at the Canada CARICOM meeting on the issues that are important to us as a region. I can attest to this because I sat next to him at all sessions of the meeting. The circumstances of his dress was that the conference chair, Prime Minister Skerritt of Dominica, had to leave early because of the prospect of Hurricane Tammy hitting his country. So he was not available for the media conference. PM Rowley had dressed to leave the hotel for the multiple plane journeys home, but in the absence of PM Skerritt, he was pressed into service at the very last minute. He stepped up to the plate, and even though he was drafted at the last minute, he spoke well for all. He should be lauded, not criticized. Sir Ronald Sanders, who stood in for PM Gaston Brown of Antigua." Right? So Gaston Brown, who is the Prime Minister of Antigua Barbuda, was not there. He sent Ronald Sanders. So basically, Ronald Sanders was representing Antigua and Barbuda at the time. So the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda had full confidence in Mr. Sanders to represent him. And anything that Sanders said at this summit was representative of Antigua and Barbuda. Such is the confidence. He could have said anybody else. he stood for the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, right? And this is the man that this clown calling a liar. This is the man that this clown asking whether or not he was drinking the night before and all of that. The disrespect. In other diplomatic circles, you know what the response, the sharp response, right? The Prime Minister of this country would have to be apologizing for that behavior. And we already know Antigua and Barbuda, as it stands right now, in particular, the Prime Minister already has a little bit of a issue with Trinidad and Tobago, in particular, the efforts of Caribbean Airlines to spread its wings throughout the Caribbean, looking for new routes. Some of the routes that they are targeting and have indicated that they are targeting are routes that would have been previously served by LIAT. And as we know, one of the strongest advocates for LIAT has been Gaston Brown. In fact, when Coleman Burt would have mentioned in the budget the intentions of Caribbean Airlines to purchase new aircraft and service certain routes, Gaston Brown would have responded and commented on Mr. Imbert's statements with respect to that. And he felt that, that Caribbean Airlines was trying to encroach and whatnot. Long story short, he has an issue with CAL, and by extension, the government supporting Caribbean Airlines in this latest endeavor. So to have now a parliamentarian, a senator no less, calling out, disrespecting the man who was representing him at this CARICOM summit, certainly would not be met. It would be met with less than favorable responses, right? There's another video that he just now. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I find this. I know what I do like. Let's know. Let me get this here. There's a shorter one. I don't know if it's here though. I'm not seeing it. Right, here it is. Yeah.
A little update in the hot sun. Ronald Sanders, you're a pathological, dishonest diplomat. Because I just went back and looked at the press conference on YouTube, and Prime Minister Trudeau thanked President Irfan Ali of Guyana for stepping in on behalf of Roosevelt Skerrit. You understand? So don't come and tell us that Rowley was substituted and coming inside there to represent Skerrit. Totally untrue. Irfan Ali was the man. What Rowley doing there? Tell him go and put on some clothes.
Right. So I don't think Dr. Rowley is a madman, that he would just run up on the people's stage just so to fill in, right? Because based on what Sanders would have informed us, was that Dr. Rowley, like so many of the other leaders, were making their way back to their home country at that point in time. And as you know, because of tropical storm upgraded to Hurricane Tammy, was the track that it was supposed to follow, they put the Leeward Islands in its path, and therefore there were certain countries that were under tropical storm watch, hurricane warning, Barbados among the others, and so on. I think, in fact, last night, the eye of the storm would have passed over Antigua Barbuda sometime last night. So I guess maybe during the course of today we will see if there was any damage done. But so a lot of them needed, and Dominica was also one that was expected to get a hit. Hence the reason Mr. Skerrit, Mr. Skerrit would have seen it fit to, to go back home. Because, I mean, if in fact the storm did impact Dominica in a significant way, we know what happened the last time Dominica was hit by a hurricane. There was almost complete and utter devastation. And so I don't suppose Mr. Skerrit would have wanted to get caught in a foreign country, in Canada, while this was happening, because it would have impacted his ability to go back home if there was significant damage done, as was the last time. Fortunately, it seems that they would have been spared the brunt of the storm this time. So he went. Now, if based on what he is saying, is that, again, so he's calling Mr. Sanders a pathological liar, right? If, in fact, what he is saying is to be believed, because he said he went back and he looked at the YouTube video, and Prime Minister Trudeau would have thanked Irfan Ali for standing in for Roosevelt Skerrit. then he needs to tell us, all right, so why was Dr. Rowley there? So Dr. Rowley is just a madman. He just decided, well, I want to be in the limelight. Let me go and put on a sweater and run up on the stage and say something. To put a lie to what he just said and to show how he is the liar, right? There's a photo when Dr. Rowley was speaking. Under Dr. Rowley, there's the little ticker, tape, or whatever it is, or the caption to highlight the name of the person speaking. And they had Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of Dominica, when Dr. Rowley was speaking, right? So if in fact Irfan Ali was supposed to replace Prime Minister of Dominica, then when he was speaking, did they put up Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of Dominica, under Irfan Ali's name? Or did they have the correct name because he was expected to be there? I just ask it. Because perhaps what that explains is that the media folks and so on, whose responsibility it was to put up the name and so on, would have been expecting Roosevelt Skerrit. That is what they were told. So the fact that when Dr. Rowley was speaking, they put up Roosevelt Skerrit's name, Prime Minister of Dominica, and so on, indicates that the persons who were responsible for putting up the name were not informed beforehand that it was not the Prime Minister of Dominica who would be speaking, that it was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago would be speaking. So if he is implying here that Irfan Ali was standing in for Roosevelt Skerrit and Dr. Rowley was on the stage, it means then that he is implying that Dr. Rowley was supposed to be there, right? That he was slated to speak, in which case they would have given the media house the names of everybody who is slated to speak so they could get it right. So when they put up the names, they want to correct it because this is being seen internationally, and we want to make sure that each speaker is properly identified. So the fact that they put up the wrong name, and international media houses putting up the wrong name under Dr. Rowley, says that they were not aware of the change, and it supports what Sanders says, that the change was last minute. So last minute that they didn't get time to inform the people, hey, look, it's not Roosevelt Skerrit we'll be talking, it's Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. But he wanted to tell you, he went back and he looked at the video. And because he went back and looked at it and he heard Justin Trudeau thank Irfan Ali for standing in for Roosevelt Skerrit, that means that Sanders lied. So then again, why was Dr. Rowley there? And the question then has to be, why didn't ask any of the others? Why didn't ask the great Mia Motley to speak? Isn't she always impeccably dressed? Isn't she the greatest prime minister in the whole of the Caribbean? The best thing ever? Why didn't ask her? And he had so many other CARICOM leaders there. Why didn't ask them? But it speaks to the fact that clearly they had confidence that Dr. Rowley's colleagues have confidence in him. And the only reason why Roosevelt Skerrit had a prominent role in this CARICOM Canada summit is because he's the current chair of CARICOM, which is a 6-month rotation, by the way. Just to point that out to the supporters of that party, because when Dr. Rowley was last chairman and his 6-month stint ended, because they didn't know that is a 6-month stint, they all over the place. You see, they kick out Rowley from CARICOM chair, because he's a disgrace, and that's why they kick him out and say, not knowing that Dr. Rowley's 6-month term came to an end and his replacement came in. But always wants to make fools of themselves to highlight the depth of their ignorance and stupidity. Right? Yeah. But he making a big issue. See, Dr. Rowley look like a vagrant. Tell him, well, really? So if Dr. Rowley wearing a black t-shirt, dress pants, shoes, dress shoes, and he puts on a sweater, or a jacket, whatever it is. If he says that Dr. Rowley was looking like a vagrant there, well, then I want to ask him, when you were at the Savannah, sir, in this jersey, with the pants, right, the cap on your head turned backward, you ain't know yourself, you're smelling like, anyway, let me not go there, I wasn't there, right? But you're practically dribbling because you're drunk, no hell. If that you describe as looking like a vagrant, what were you looking like? Right? What were you looking like? Because Keith Rowley was certainly better dressed at that event than you were in the Savannah and the condition that you were in. So how would you describe that? I would love to get a term to describe that, because you were looking worse than a vagrant, right? Worse than. All you needed to do was to go and lie down in front Royal Bank. That's all you needed to do. You fit the bill to a T there. I don't even think any woman in their right mind probably give you a wine that day. They probably look at you and say, look at, not even the word vagrant. The word vagrant is too good to describe how you looked for Carnival. In the condition that you were, the embarrassment that you were. You embarrassed your family, you embarrassed yourself, you embarrassed the Senate, the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, the citizens of this country. Because when that video spread and people also, wait, he's a senator in Trinidad, and he looking so? And that's how that's the kind of people they pick into the senators in Trinidad. Wow. So when you want to talk about who was an embarrassment, sir, look at yourself. Look in the mirror. When it is that you have a colleague sitting in the Senate who is, not in the Senate, sorry, in the lower house, who is currently the subject of a police investigation for human trafficking and prostitution, who is accused of all manner of malfeasance while he served on at least 2 boards, 2 state boards, while the People's Partnership was in office. That is not an embarrassment to Trinidad and Tobago. The fact that one of your colleagues in the lower house is currently on $1 million bail for fraud, right, and misbehavior in public office, fraud against the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, but occupies the position of chief whip, that is not an embarrassment to Trinidad and Tobago. No, that is not an embarrassment. When the woman who you consider to be your leader went to India and bent down to kiss the foot of the Indian Prime Minister, the Indian President, that wasn't an embarrassment to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. No, it wasn't. But you're an expert on what is an embarrassment, right? You're an expert. When you, as a government minister, I can't remember your government minister at the time, but anyway, when you, who now occupy the position of senator, was accused of having a hand in the attempted murder of a DJ, where there's video footage of him being intimately aware of your wife, right? You are accused of being part of that plot to murder this DJ. That wasn't an embarrassment. Nah, that wasn't an embarrassment. The fact that a former Attorney General, who was a former Attorney General in the government of which you were a member, found himself before the court on a number of criminal charges. That wasn't an embarrassment to Trinidad and Tobago. No. But you know what's an embarrassment? Keith Rowley have on a sweater. That's an embarrassment. You ain't focused on what he said. You're not focused on the fact that here it is that we have a foreign diplomat is praising Dr. Rowley for his contribution to the summit. No. But all they're studying is Rowley going to beg, and that's why he's looking so, because he dressed up like a beggar because he want to beg. Well, whenever Keith Rowley goes abroad to beg, it reaps benefits. And some of you same hypocrites, you ungrateful bastards who want to be calling the Prime Minister a beggar and he dress up like a beggar. Thank God for his begging the same Justin Trudeau that plenty of all you know could go to Canada without a Canadian visa. Thanks to Keith Rowley begging Justin Trudeau, as he mentioned, every time he met up with Mr. Trudeau at any forum, he would ask him about relaxing the visa requirement for citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, which requirement would have been imposed because of the lies of, well, primarily supporters of that other party back then. Today, thanks to Keith Rowley begging Justin Trudeau, if you have a valid US visa, you could go to Canada. You don't need to go through the stress to get a Canadian visa. And if you would have had a valid Canadian visa in the last 10 years, again, you don't need to go through the process to get one. No, you could head up to Canada. That wasn't as a result of anything Kamala Persad-Bissessar did. For the 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days that she was Prime Minister, she made no such representations for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So the next time you ungrateful bastards decide all they want to jump on a plane because they know they'll have to go to Toronto and Ontario. The next time you're on a plane and you're able to use your US visa so to do, and you didn't have to spend any money or go through the hassle to get a Canadian visa, just remember it's because Keith Rowley is a beggar and he begged for that. He begged for that. That is why you could do that, ungrateful bastards. But you also spoke here about, when the Prime Minister or the President of a country flying on taxpayers' expense and so on, that they have to dress in a certain way, especially when they're going through multiple ports and whatnot. You should also thank Keith Rowley for saving taxpayers money. You know why? Because he traveled in commercial and he has to make multiple stops to get from Canada to come back come back home, right? Flying commercial. So he's on a plane with hundreds of other persons. Yeah, probably flying business class, but he's on a plane with hundreds of other persons. He didn't do like what your leader did on several occasions when she was prime minister, to pull a whole jumbo jet out of service, right? Money-making service, where Caribbean Airlines could have been earning valuable and necessary income by selling seats on this plane to transport people from here to there. He didn't say, do like her, well, I'm going to take a whole plane out of service for myself, a plane that could hold probably between 150 to 200 and something people, and carry a whole delegation of 40 something people, including myself, to Canada on a plane. So we have close to about 200, 110 to 200 seats empty. And taxpayers have to pay for those empty seats. But in addition to that, Caribbean Airlines had to find the money now to wet lease another plane to replace the one that she would have taken out of service, that for the entire time that she was wherever she was, the plane park up on the tarmac, or park up in the airport, wherever, in whichever country, waiting for her and her delegation to finish do whatever it is they do to hop back on. And for the time that they park up there, making no money. But it costing taxpayers money, because money has to be paid to Caribbean Airlines for that. $2 million, $3 million. How many times she did it? South Africa, she did it. India, she did it. Brazil, she did it. China, she did it. Australia. How many times has Keith Rowley done that in the 8 years that he has been prime minister? How many times has he felt that he needs to engage in an act of self-aggrandizement and arrive at an event like other leaders in a jumbo jet? Just say, look, I have a whole plane for myself. How many times has he done that? Zero. So I'm sure in all of the travels that Dr. Rowley has done since he became prime minister, the amount of money spent has not come close to what would have been the taxpayers would have incurred for just one of those trips that Mrs. Prasad Bisesa made, where she had to fly on a whole jumbo jet. India alone cost taxpayers $15 million. India alone. Pretty sure Dr. Rowley hasn't spent $15 million in plane tickets since he has become prime minister. What did we get from that trip? That $15 million trip to India. What did we get from it? Nothing. Nada. Zip. Other than the embarrassment of having our prime minister feel the need to forget she was prime minister, right? To bend down to kiss the foot of the Indian president. Other than that, we got nothing. But when Keith Rowley travels, right? As he says, he's the best salesman, is to get money for Trinidad and Tobago, to negotiate, to improve our lot. Right? I just want to let Mr. Roberts know that. So when you want to come and talk about who's an embarrassment to Trinidad and Tobago, you need to check yourself. You need to, every time you do a doubles and coffee or you do a Douglas Politics live, you embarrass your party and you embarrass the country. Because unfortunately, these things, your supporters feel they need to share this far and wide. And people can see the depth of stupidity that resides in that party. That they are totally bereft of common sense, decency, to use the local parlance, brought-up-see, or any of the other 7 C's. He wants to refer to Dr. Rowley as an embarrassment. But as I said, it's not he alone. Jayanti got in on the act too, so I had read her post for you all. Just now. You had Inshan Ishmael. Let me just touch on him quickly. He put up a picture. Well, in fact, 1 hour. All right, let me read the most recent one that he put up an hour ago. Rowley dressing like a bebe for the CARICOM summit is endorsed by those whose fingernails are 5 inches long and see no hygiene issue with this. Those who attend an interview chewing gum and wearing a t-shirt, and those who wear their trousers below their backsides. Tell me a liner. Right, that's Ishmael. Then he puts up a picture of the, right. He puts up a picture of Dr. Rowley speaking at the summit, and the same thing I mentioned to you all, where they captioned Dr. Rowley, Roosevelt Skerritt, Prime Minister of Dominica. Meeting of Canada Caribbean leaders wraps up in Ottawa. Right, so this is where they put the wrong caption. So it says they weren't aware, the media wasn't aware that, because they were expecting Roosevelt Skerritt. The last one he has up, he has a picture of Dr. Rowley and Irfan Ali standing next to each other. Irfan Ali isn't wearing a suit, but I guess, they find what he's wearing is appropriate. In fact, that's the second time he wore that for the summit, but that's okay. And he puts up the caption, the statesman and he leaves that blank and he tells you fill in the missing word. So I guess what's supposed to come after D is vagrant. The statesman here, of course, is Irfan Ali. I'm not surprised. Then the last one he puts up, man dressed like a vagrant for a summit. Shame, and it's a picture of Justin Trudeau and Dr. Rowley. Right? It's interesting to note that there are only two. They only have 2 podiums there, 3 speakers. Right? To me, okay, anyway, speaks volumes, but all right. I'm not going to bother to go, but needless to say, the comments, and when you look at the names of the persons commenting under these posts that this clown put up, let's see, boy. You want to look so poor so the leaders can donate money to him and this nation. I won't be surprised if that is true. He looking like both of them like them go for. He looking like them, like the both of them go for lol. They say he was on his way back home. I don't believe that. The only time you does see him dressed so is when he in Tobago or behind closed doors. In the public, he's dressed to the T, but come now, man, these people just wouldn't just come talk now when you're at the airport. No, he wasn't at the airport. Look, I'm not even going to bother to read the rest of this foolishness, right? I expect nothing different. Even Gary Griffith felt the need to get in on the act and write a whole essay. Boy, folks, forgive me. Yesterday he put out some things reading subject matter experts should be non-partisan. As a former military attaché he had to big up himself. I can assure the public that dress code does matter, especially on the international stage. This has become necessary to clarify, not because Prime Minister Rowley showed up at an international conference in what looked like a washed-out tracksuit, but because the Guardian newspaper, perhaps in an attempt to appease the government, dug deep to find someone to trivialize the matter. One Andy Knight, who claims to be an expert and who wants us, the public, to look at the substance and not the dress code. This means that, according to Knight, it wouldn't have mattered if Rowley showed up shirtless in her speedos and flip-flops. I'm not even going to bother to read the rest of that. Forgive me. Right? He too decided to take a jab at Mr. Sanders. So he says, Sir Sanders of Antigua, please do not take the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago for fools. The explanation by Sir Ronald Sanders, Antigua and Barbuda's ambassador to the United States and the OAS, with regard to Prime Minister Rowley's dress at the recently concluded CARICOM summit is a slap to our collective intelligence. Sanders' contention is that the Dominican Prime Minister Roosevelt's carrot had to run off at the last minute because of the hurricane threat to his nation, and because of that, Rowley stepped up to the plate. Unlike an earthquake, a hurricane is a slow-moving threat, so Sanders is attempting to persuade us that PM's carrot was whisked away at the last minute because of this threat, which would have been on radar for days prior, and then Rowley was forced to take his place. Fair questions to Sanders then would be, what would have been the keys had PM Rowley been lounging at the pool? Would he have shown the world what he looked like in speedos and flip-flops standing next to the Canadian Prime Minister? Sanders' contention that PM Rowley didn't have a few minutes to at least put on a pair of jeans, a polo shirt, a blazer is very difficult to rationalize, and that Rowley didn't care about embarrassing us or himself by not requesting a few minutes more to do so is another indictment on Rowley himself. In fact, if proper attire wasn't available to him, he would have simply declined and perhaps suggest that another of his CARICOM colleagues who may have been better attired do the honors. If time to change wasn't available to him and no one else was prepared to do it, he should have stood firm or not appearing in such a lax manner and allow Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau to simply explain the Dominican Prime Minister's legitimate absence. As a seasoned politician, he should have known and done better. Now, let me ask all this question, right? For those of us who travel. Because a lot of the people who mountain off and have all the answers, apparently they don't travel. Now, when the Prime Minister, okay, so I'm heading back home There is no need for me to be a part of the closing ceremony, whatever it is. It's just a press conference between the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, and supposed to be Roosevelt's carrot. Right, so I don't even know how Irfan ended up there. As I mentioned to you, the outfit that Irfan was wearing, you see the President of Ghana, the outfit that he was wearing, that's the second time he wore the suit. Right? But they have no problem with it. But I say, okay, he could wear a suit multiple times, right? The point I'm making. So Dr. Rowley knows he's heading back home, and this is what I'm going to wear. I'm going to dress casually, right? I don't need to be in jacket and whatever it is. A little chilly outside and whatever. And I don't expect to be in the glare of the media. I don't expect anybody to take any pictures of me, because when I come out from the hotel, I jump in whatever vehicle, they carry me to the airport and hop on the plane and I head back home. These are the same people who like to tell you Rowley is aloof and figure that he's better than everybody else. But when it is the Prime Minister dresses in a way that identifies with the common man, they have an issue. He needs to continue to be aloof and wear a suit and to stand out from everybody else. All right? I mean, even at these events, I would have loved to see. I've seen on many occasions when the Prime Minister goes on, like if he going around to the pan tent and so on for Carnival, his security detail, the officers, you don't see them all the time wearing the suit and tie. You see them, they have on a shirt, short sleeve shirt, they have on a polo jersey, they dress down, polo jersey and jeans and whatnot, but they have the Prime Minister. So what is Captain Commissioner Griffith saying? That Dr. Rowley's security detail should always be well dressed should always be well dressed, right? That's basically what he's saying. But I would imagine that if the Prime Minister coming back home, he would put his clothes in his suitcase, right? So the suitcase, you put everything and you take it downstairs. So even if you have a little wait, what happened? You had the suitcase in the lobby, you sit down waiting as the keys made. They wanted the Prime Minister now to do what? Take the suitcase, because he probably already checked out, and go in the nearest bathroom and change his clothes. So where's he at? You excuse me, but I'm over the nearest bathroom is here? The public bathroom? Where that is? Yeah, you could go inside there. Go inside there and change your clothes. Take your suitcase and go. That's what they basically advocating Prime Minister should have done. So, they have a problem. I mean, are we so petty in this country? We so petty? Even make an issue out of that? That all of them feel the need to not only comment on it, but you have to run on Facebook and put a whole exegesis, a whole lecture, a whole essay to try and downplay, and you have anyway, look. I fed up on these people, yes? I really fed up. I'm surprised Kamala Prasad said didn't have anything to comment, but let me check her Facebook page. Give me 1 second. All right, no. Right, so she had nothing to say. She had bigger fish to fry. She has greater concerns. I don't even think she's in the country. So we were told, but again, none of them calling to find out, well, where is the leader of the opposition? Why wasn't she in the parliament for the entire debate? Why was she not present? None of them are asking that. Okay. Moving on. There's another. Forgive me. I need to play this one. Give me 1 second here. Right. Get this here. Turn this on. I'm going to put this thing to charge. This is Arnold Roberts number 3. This is the last one, I promise you all. But I can't let this slide. Just now. This is him giving you justification or trying to convince you why you should vote for Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and not Keith Rowley. They always quick to talk about race and race, right? The race. They always love to play the race card. All right. No, when the PNM, they're always accusing the PNM of the race card. Let me play this quickly for you all. Forgive me. Just now. Let me get this here. Listen carefully.
There are 2 women that you're trying to court, you're trying to track, you understand? 2 women, and one of them, every time you have to go to dinner, it's expensive restaurant. You have to go and fix her eyelash. You have to fix her eyebrow. You have to do all kind of things. You have to buy a new outfit every time you take she out. When you go out, she eating the most expensive thing. The restaurant she chose, far. You have to burn real gas to go there. And then when you reach home after the date and think you ain't even get a kiss. You ain't get a hold hand. No loving, no nothing. And then you have another girl that you check in and she check for you. When you need a little help, she bring food for you. She bring breakfast, she bring lunch. When you're going out, she just want a simple coconut water and a doubles, a KFC, a Royal Castle. She take you and she tell you she want to walk around the savannah because she don't want you to burn your gas. When you're going to work and the boss giving you pressure and want to fire you, she does support you. She give you options, she put you in contact with some of her friends to get you a next work, a higher paying work. And she treating you nice. She taking care of your children, doing homework with them, picking them up from school, taking them to the tennis and the football and the cricket. But here the problem, you's a black man. And the first woman who like expensive thing and that black woman. And the other one who boosting you, keeping money in your pocket, giving you a job and helping you, that Indian. Which woman you treating? Which one you will choose? Which woman you gonna want in your life to make your life better?
You hear that? So the woman who distressing the man, every time they go out, she want expensive things. She only want to go to expensive restaurant. And she brings nothing to the table. She make the man go out, spending money, come back home, him get a kiss, not a whole hand, nothing. Because all she about is the money. She's a user, a gold digger. And the next one doing all these things for him. Yeah, she will settle for doubles and a KFC, a little coconut water, a stroll around the savannah, and she and where going your gas, she taking care of kids. Right? And the distresser, the gold digger, the woman who has no substance, she's an African. Right? She's a black woman. And the other one who doing well and who taking care of you and supporting you and everything, she's an East Indian woman. Which one you will choose? Which one you will choose? I want to ask Julian John, how do you feel as a black woman to know that you have been, you and others like you have been characterized like this, in this example? So it's not, as far as you're concerned, not the East Indian woman wouldn't be the distresser. No, the East Indian woman is not the gold digger, it's the African. The black woman is the gold digger. Right? So basically what he's doing here is deriding, chastising. I mean, how do you all feel? And I do like to go down the race road, but to the African women, or as he said, the black women who listening to this, right? How do you all feel about being characterized in such a manner by that? Now, we know he's filth. Yeah, lower than the gutter, lower than the white line on the road. But nevertheless, to give such a comparison, trying to tell people, well, you have Kid Rowley, who is the African, and Kamala Persad-Bissessar, who is the East Indian. And she's doing so much for you, and the African ain't doing nothing for you. All he's doing is depriving you. All he's doing is frustrating you. Taking wherever he could from you, draining you, sucking you dry. The African woman, the black woman does that. Speaks the mindset, Speaks the mindset. Tells you the type of person, what he thinks, so that when he sees an African woman, this is probably why, when you look at the type of woman that he chooses, Shondell, and the one who he was whining on for Carnival, that he says is his, he and Shondell done, I think. I don't know if they divorced yet or whatever. But it tells you, it speaks to where his mindset is at. That he has in his mind, in his view, African women, worthless. They bring nothing to the table. They have nothing of substance to contribute. But the East Indian women, oh yes. Maybe that's why he gravitates us to a particular direction. But they always like to accuse the PNM of pulling the race card. So you as a black man, it's not even to say, well, okay, you're an East Indian man, right? And you have a choice. You're a black man. Which one you going to choose? The black woman, the African woman, or you going to choose the East Indian woman? Yeah. You couldn't say, well, okay, you're a white man, a Chinese man. No, you're a black man, an African man. And which one you will choose? Yeah? Because, in other words, the East Indian men, they're making the right choices. So we don't need to reference them as any example. So all of the East Indian men in Trinidad and Tobago, they know what to do. Support Kamla Prasad Bisesa. It's the African men. All they don't know what they're doing. The African men, all their choice. Yeah, all they need help. All they keep going for these, running down these African women who have no substance, know nothing about them. You need to go for the East Indian woman. He telling all of that. I mean, the fact that he would say this, it speaks volumes. Like he sees nothing wrong with what he just spoke there. He proud to talk that and post it up and leave it up for people to see. And so apparently there are no Africans in anyway. Julie John, Michelle Benjamin, Khadija Amin to some extent. Notice there aren't too many other names I could call, right? Rodney Charles, Wade Mark, I could call Naked by. All right. You all agree with what this man's saying here? You all support that? You endorse the trash that he just talked about? Anita Haynes, you make the wrong choice here. You marry an African man. You make the wrong choice. Yeah? You need to go back. And yeah, anyway. How are you feeling? You all support that? What you saying they're making sense, right? Yeah, what you saying they're making sense. You're a black man. And he sit down, came up with that. Hey, let me go and make a live on this. Yeah. I catch them. This making sense. This song ain't good. Yeah. It's the best example I could come up with. This is so good. I need to do a live one time. I need to stop what I'm doing and go and do a live for that. Darlene is saying we have no African men to stand up for us. So true. Well, they are, you know. It's just, I don't know. Hey, boy. Right. Anyway. Wow. So yesterday, folks, I was listening. Unfortunately, somebody called me to ask me if I was listening to that station. Yelman, I said that station, I don't know what I mean, right? So, Professor Misinformation was by himself yesterday. And unfortunately, when Professor Misinformation is by himself, you know, there is no restraint. There is nobody to pull him back. So when Captain Clueless is there with him, you know, he's able to temper the depth of stupidity to which Professor Misinformation would sink. But he was by himself yesterday, so he didn't have that support. So he just went to town, ably assisted by his callers and listeners who are just as dotish as he is, clueless and misinformed as he is. So for the little bit that I listened, I really couldn't listen to that in its entirety, because I tell you, every time you listen, I swear that I don't know if it is the management of that station want to give people a stroke. They want to send up your blood pressure to the point that you pop a blood vessel in your brain, or they want you to take a pencil and stab yourself in the eye out of frustration, listening to the idiocy of that program, right? Where is the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago? When I was there, they always send a letter, right? So when I refer to Kamla Prasad Bisesa, the leader of the opposition, as a damn blasted liar, they're quick to send a letter to say that is inappropriate language. Yeah? And I cannot refer to the leader of the opposition in such terms. Well, this is my platform, so I could say what I want now. This is not subject to TAT. TAT is supposed to be monitoring these radio stations, the content, what is being put out there for public consumption, to see whether or not it is in contravention of the rules and the conditions under which this license would have been given. And even the most, well, let me not even say that, because I was about to say even the most clueless or the most simple-minded of citizens could listen to that and know that is trash. But based on the calls that have been here, clearly that is not so. So I take that back, right? Madam Speaker, I retract. But anybody with a modicum of common sense would know, could listen to that nonsense and say, but what trash? What trash? The mere fact that between Monday to Friday, from 4 to 7, when Aisha Wells was there, You were getting viewership on Facebook of 600 and 700 people every evening. On YouTube, you're getting similar numbers. And today, with not one, but two of them, they could barely hold on to keep the attention or attract 90 people to listen to what comes out there on every evening. Tells you something. But the fact that management continues, felt it necessary, well, because I understand that Juliet used to go from 2 to 5, and then management cut down Juliet's time and gave Juliet 2 hours and felt the need to give these two 3 hours to peddle the misinformation, to peddle lies, to peddle garbage. Speaks volumes, right? And I'm wondering, what is management's thought process? What is management's thought process with respect to that? Your viewership, your listenership from that 4 to 7 critical afternoon drive period has plummeted significantly. And rather than do something to arrest the situation, instead, you turn around and do the opposite. You do something to worsen the situation by giving them more time. So 2 hours of trash wasn't enough. Yesterday, may give them 3. Where is Telecommunications Authority to monitor what is being said here? Understanding, and when you listen to the callers and some of the comments that are made by some of these callers, understanding that there are people who are totally clueless, intellectually lazy, and will not go and read and find out for themselves. So they come every evening, and whatever he say and the next one say, they run in with that. And they go in and spread that as gospel, as the truth. Totally clueless. Where is that? Or they quick to send letter when it is a caller calling and they say they use a certain word or whatever it is, or they call the opposition leader or whoever a liar. Or they quick to send letter for that. Right? But you all are allowing this station to spread lies, misinformation, propaganda in the worst way. 6 days a week? 6 days a week? Knowing that there are people out there who take what is said there and run with it, so that on budget day, while the minister was still delivering the budget, they come on here to say that the minister increased the price of fuel when nothing of the sort happened, and then they had to come back and apologize for 2 consecutive days. And rather than take responsibility for their irresponsibility, trying to blame somebody as well. I know somebody sent that for me. And somebody who always on the ball and who's always send me correct information, where they get that and they apologize and whatnot for putting me in that situation. And when it is that people call you to tell you, well, no, this is not the first time that you have given us misinformation. You want to cut off the people and you're vexed, and you ain't dealing with that again. You don't apologize and you don't say what you have to say. But you're calling me yesterday, calling people dotish and whatnot, and make a big issue because a man called in to talk about the clip that you played for Call Me Imbert, in which Mr. Imbert would have spoken about they were expecting a certain amount of revenue for the non-oil sector and they get more than they were expecting. They were expecting a certain amount of revenue from the energy sector and got more than they were expecting. And you come in to say, anybody know what the non-oil sector is? Where they get this 11.4 billion with the non-oil sector? What is the non-oil sector? And then you go on to describe the non-oil sector as, well, well, first of all, there's this one from Brooklyn. I need to get a name for him. He is Captain Know-It-All. Yeah? He bright. He have the answers to everything. Always quick to call about, the America, and America this, and America that. And the minimum wage in America is 15 US. He called to correct a man yesterday who called to say the minimum wage in the US was $7.50. He couldn't wait to get through to say, the minimum wage in America, in New York, is $15 an hour. That's $7.50. That man said that was back in since 2000. And to tell us all the things that you could get for this $15, 20 pound rice, and a tenner, a sardine, and this and that, and you still have change and all of these different things. To which Professor Misinformation then goes to say, $15 an hour in the US? Why are you doing in Trinidad, boy? Well, a lot of us asking the same question. Why are you still here? You should have gone a long time. $15? It took him about 10 minutes to calculate how much 15 US is in TT. So I don't know if it is he had to Google how to use a calculator, right? In that 10 minutes. So that's probably why he took so long to convert, to tell you that 15 US is 105 TT. Yeah, probably trying to figure out, let me see how to use a calculator, right? Right? Anyway, I'm listening to this nonsense, and I vex. And I want to go in the comments and call him out on his ignorance. I say, you know what, let me leave that alone. Because next thing I know, I'm already persona non grata, so I'm no longer allowed to call the radio station. Not that I used to, but they might ban me and block me on the chat too. Not that I care, because I don't really comment unless it's in the extreme. So he tells people that the non-oil sector is when Brooklyn says, when you get a ticket, a traffic ticket, and you pay the ticket and you have to go and pay the ticket with interest or whatever it is, that's how they're making the money. And then Professor Misinformation comes to talk about the non-oil sector is PAYE. Well, that's probably the only thing he said that had some level of correctness in it, right? But he says when it is, when they import in cars and all the taxes that you have to pay on the car, the VAT and the motor vehicle tax and all of these different things. And when it is that the government withholding VAT refunds and all of that, that is what they call non-oil sector. And I wonder if I know management listens to that. And they sit down listening to that and applauding that and allowing this man to continue with this nonsense. And as the calls after, when you listen to the people who call in, you're a heavy good job, boy. You're doing a real good job. Don't study them, pay them, don't send them. There's so many things I need to talk about, but in the interest of time, right? But before I get back to that, there was something I was supposed to read. Or forgive me again, because I said I just all over the place. Let me just read this quickly, please. Where is it? Just let me get this here. Where did I put this up? Just now, give me 1 sec. Let me just get this here quickly. I just wanted to revisit the first topic because I forgot that I had pulled that up and I was supposed to read that. Right. I don't know if you all have heard the name John Fetterman. John Fetterman is a U.S. Senator for the state of Pennsylvania. He would have won that position in the last election in November last year, was it? Yeah, I think November last year. Yeah. And he has been making the news in the US quite recently for his dress code. So recently, Mr. Fetterman had the distinct pleasure of presiding over the Senate of the United States. And in his dress code, Mr. Fetterman came to the US Senate to preside over the Senate, wearing a shirt, a short pants, and sneakers. Yes, now. Let me just see this here, right? For the past week, the most powerful lawmakers in the US have been embroiled in heated debate about gym shorts. Thanks to a directive from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Senate no longer has a business attire dress code. This has allowed Senator John Fetterman, a first-time Democrat from Pennsylvania, to vote on the Senate floor and preside over the legislative body in his signature hat, hoodies, sneakers, and baggy athletic shorts. Republicans have seized the moment as an opportunity to accuse Democrats of defiling their noble workplace. So, setting aside the question of whether the Senate should make accommodations to support the physical and mental comfort of a man recovering from a stroke and severe depression that left him hospitalized, the discourse around the lack of dress code has neglected one crucial part of the narrative. Gym shorts are quintessential American culture, right? So John Fetterman, who is a U.S. Senator, right, the upper house of the U.S., comes to the Senate wearing gym shorts, sneakers, and a shirt, a short sleeve shirt. I'll leave that right there. Right? But coming back to the issue of Professor Misinformation yesterday, all of the things that he's talking about. The government don't do nothing for poor people. The government don't care about poor people. This is what he's saying. This government, they don't care about the poor people. They only care about the 1%. Yeah? What are they doing for the poor people? The government should say, well, all right, we give all your gate, and we give the middle class this, and we give the middle class this. So let's try and bring up the poor up to par with the other people in society. This is what he's saying yesterday. Some man by the name of Uncle West, big old hardback man, calls in, right, to endorse what Professor Misinformation is saying, but then goes on to criticize the government because he read in the newspapers yesterday that the government has a housing program for which 600 free houses will be given out to impoverished persons. Let me get this here. Where is it? Right. 600. Let me read this for you. Government is sinking $100 million into building 600 houses in 26 areas for vulnerable people via the Housing and Village Improvement Program, which involves giving the houses to such people for free, Finance Minister Carnival said yesterday. Speaking about the matter during yesterday's Senate debate on the 2024 budget, Imbert said one of the most important aspects of the Housing Ministry's work for 2024 is the Housing and Village Improvement Program. The program, Imbert said, was started in Maruga and was championed by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. Championed by Keith Rowley. Imbert added, there was a village in Maruga where people were living in quite impoverished conditions in board houses, and the vision of the Prime Minister at the time was to convert those board houses into concrete structures, and that was the birth of the Housing and Village Improvement Program. So, Keith Rowley was the architect of this Housing and Village Improvement Program, seeking to give free houses constructed by the state to poor persons, to impoverished persons who live in wooden shacks, some of them, who still using outhouses, latrines, who don't have the facility of indoor plumbing, probably still have a stand outside the house that they use to wash dishes, right? They have to shower outside and the water settling in the yard and all kind of thing. You've seen it. Some of you, and I know you've seen it. And Dr. Rowley decided, you know what? We need to help these people using the state resources. What it does is that it creates for someone obviously underprivileged and vulnerable families, because clearly this is for the people at the lowest end of the income spectrum. But what it does, it takes somebody who is living in a board house in quite unsanitary conditions and gives them free of charge. This is not a situation where a person has to put out any money. It gives those vulnerable families free of charge a 2-bedroom concrete starter house complete with all facilities, including internal plumbing, proper arrangements, and so on. Imbert added, so it lifts the person out of an underprivileged situation and gives them a brand new concrete structure which they can develop. So the government is giving you the starting it up here, 2-bedroom, indoor plumbing. So you have your toilet and your shower inside, you have your kitchen, you don't have to go outside. If rain falling, you can't wash the dishes because the way you stand outside. Or some of them, where they still have these houses on stilts and you see they have the way you stand attached. So they have, you pull down a latch or something, and yeah, these things we used to see long ago, right? You see, basically in the countryside. All of these things. And the minister is saying, look, 600 families are supposed to benefit in 2024. 600 families will benefit from starter homes, 2-bedroom starter homes. And it's a starter, meaning the government giving you a start, but you could take it from there. So if it is while the government doing this, you're able to get a little kakada. You might have been saving some monies because you want to, you know how they do it? Let me do the foundation. And then brick by brick, I will try and see. So if you know you have your little kakada set aside, you were throwing a susu all the while, and your susu hand coming and you were planning to do the foundation. You could say, well, here, what now? I have a little extra money here. So let me expand the foundation a little bit. So instead of 2 bedrooms, I'm grateful to the government too, I can now add on 1. Right? You could do that. A lot of these impoverished households that the government is targeting with this program have no electricity. They're still using lamp. No electricity. But the government is saying, we're coming now to build this house for you, free of charge. All you need is sweat equity. Get your neighbors and your friends and your family to come and help out, right? To provide labor and so on. Maybe you could cook a pilau or something and give them. So it cuts down on the cost, the labor cost. And therefore, the money that would have been spent on labor costs could be spent to do something else to improve and give you a better product. This is what the government is saying. 600 families in 2024. And this is going to be an ongoing program. So 2025, you might get another 600. 2026, another 600. Right? Every year, more and more families will be coming out of poverty. Decent living, so that when rain fall, they don't have to be playing musical chairs because the roof leaking and they have to move around whatever little furniture they have. You also saw the condition of the house, the 13-year-old who was murdered after she went to give the San Grande police station, I think it was, for the ID parade. You also saw the condition of that house. The mattress on the ground, a 1-bedroom. So she was sleeping inside and the father and the uncle sleeping outside. The house looked filthy. Quite recently, I think it was just last week, where 2 toddlers were rescued from a home, I think somewhere in Aruca or somewhere there. The conditions, terrible, absolutely deplorable. It's people like them the government is targeting, who don't have the money, who cannot qualify for an HGC house because their income will not afford them. So should they be left in the lurch? Should the government say, well, all right, well, look out for an HGC house, or go and squat? We wouldn't bother, like, go and squat. See what they could do. What pieces of plyboard or whatever you could find wherever and knock up. The four young children, the 4 young people who were killed in Guanapo. You also see the condition of the house that they were living in and the amount of people that were living in that house. Those are the people that the government is targeting with this housing and village improvement program. The state is using the resources to help these people, to help the poor. The poor, this is specifically for those people who are the lowest rung of the economic ladder, who's struggling. Yeah? The government is saying, we will come and we will spend between $150,000 to $175,000 and give you a starter home. And you all could take it from there after that. As your circumstance improves, your financial circumstance improves, you could expand it. The same clown, this consummate dunce, Professor Misinformation, who telling you before, the government are doing nothing for poor people and whatnot. When it is Uncle West calls it to complain and say, I see the government, they say they're giving out 600 houses to poor people. That is an election gimmick. And Professor Misinformation, who wanted to tell you the government are doing nothing for poor people, come to say, yes, it's an election gimmick. So when the government doing what it is that they want, directly assisting the poor, because essentially by the government spending this money to build a house for you for free, all you have to do is put in a little sweat equity, assist to lift a brick, assist to pull a line, assist to mix some mortar. That's all you have to do. They're putting directly in the hands of 600 families, each between $150,000 to $175,000. And that they call an election gimmick. But come to tell you, the government are doing nothing for poor people. You know why? Because they realize it is programs such as these, innovative programs such as these coming from the PNM. These are the things that the people want. Not $500 a month to make child, to go buy Pennywise and buy Pampers and milk. Yeah? Not to create handouts or handout programs to encourage people to be making a whole set of children that they can't mind and then looking for the state to support them. And then when it is that they get out of hand, because when the father can't deal with it and he leave, or the mother $500 a month, so she making child for 3 and 4 men, different men, right? So you have 4 children, all of them have different fathers. None of them want to stay with you. So they just pass through, had a good time and gone. As soon as you say you're pregnant, that is not mine. I don't know nothing about that. Because I hear it was a Tom, Dick, and Harry. I don't know that that child is mine, and I have no money for no paternity test. So you mind that. Or even if he does decide to lay claim for the child, and he working and catching his nenen and can't even support himself, and whatever little money he given is not enough, she going to bring him up in the court. Maintenance. Next thing, warrant. 2 van load of police pull up outside his shack one morning, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, to carry him down in the Marriott. Right? And he end up behind bars because he can't pay maintenance. How that helping you? You went to take out warrant. They lock him up. He had no money to pay the arrears. So he sit down in the prison. How that helping you? You getting money while he in prison? No. But that is what they want to encourage. $500 a month. Make child, man. Don't worry. You'll come and apply. For every child you make, you'll get $500 a month. Keep making child until the amount of money you're getting every month is sufficient. But just remember, the children don't stay small forever. They're not going to remain toddlers and infants forever. All right? So eventually, they're going to age out of the program. But do that so you could get a food card. And then you have 6, 7, and 8 children and can't handle them. And when you send them to secondary school, they behaving in a certain manner because you have no control over them. And then you're quick to well, I do my best, I try my best, it's me alone, I'm a single parent. Right? But that he calls an election gimmick. State using state resources, the same taxpayers' money that he loved to talk about, using that to help 600 families in the first instance in 1 year. But it's not only them that benefit you, because the small contractors who will benefit as well from doing the work, the actual technical work of building the house. So you're creating employment as well, opportunities for the small contractors who will benefit from this program. The hardware, where it is that the material will be bought from, they will benefit as well. So the wealth is being spread throughout the economy. They're saying construction down. Yeah, when it is, I can't remember who it was, if it was, right, the Minister of Works was talking about construction booming or so on. During his, while he was being grilled during the Standing Finance Committee, and the Member of Parliament for Barataria San said, I was saying, Minister, I don't know where you see any construction boom, but our information is that nothing is taking place. Well, the government is trying to spur it on. That's 600 houses supposed to be built in fiscal 2023, 2024. Add to that, the houses, the 200 that will be built under the Homestead program for the young people between 18 to 35 who will be graduating from the Homestead program to get their starter homes, the 2 acres of land, and the $20,000 to start their business. So that is another 200. So that is 800 houses. 800 houses, right? That will be constructed. That's just from those two programs. And then what the HDC is doing as well, the work that they're doing. So construction is taking place in the public sector. Taking place in the private sector too, you know. Go all over the country, you will see. Go to St. Augustine on the main road, construction taking place, Prestige Holding spending money, Agostini, Vemco, all of these companies under that brand, they're building stuff. New restaurants under construction. I just saw where Global Brands, which is Church's Chicken and Pizza Hut, and not Pizza Hut, sorry, Pizza Boys and Rituals and stuff, just reopened another restaurant hall or something, so restaurant mall in Chaguanas. So money spending. You know why? But we have no money. We suffering. Carnival coming up just now. We're in October. Just now, as soon as Boxing Day roll out is Fed starting because it's a short season. Bacchanal Road coming up. Stink and Dirty coming up. All who complaining now that they're suffering and they have no money and they can't make ends meet and they can't pay the bills and the government killing me because they're going to increase the electricity rates and all of that. They're jumping out themselves though. People already calling me to ask me about tickets for CIC all inclusive and what's the cost of the ticket and if I could try and see if I could. No, I can't. Right? They don't care what the price is, you know. Whatever the price is, I want 2, I want 4. See if I can get 6 for me and my crew. No, I can't. So anybody listening, don't reach out to me to ask me for no tickets. I have no links for that, right? Because the Past Students Union no longer does the CIC FED, that is the Alumni Foundation, right? 2 separate groups for the same school, but right. I know the public know about that. Well, a lot of people know about that. But I'm not going to go into detail with respect to that. So no, I don't have any links. When it comes to that, I'm just a player. But they didn't care last year, though this year, the tickets were $1,400 for general and $2,000 for VIP. All the tickets sold out. All sold out. Right? So, and you're paying for the experience. But that's the point that I'm making. People already telling me, yeah, we want tickets. They don't plan for that already. And you ain't going by yourself. You have to go with people. So it's crew on one side, couple on the next side. So at least if the price go to $1,500, they care. That's one couple spending $3,000. That's just for the tickets alone. We talk about the money you have to spend on clothes and to do your hair and to do your nails and all of these different things. But we broken. We can't afford. Don't tell me nothing about property tax. I don't want to hear nothing about $54 a month or $81 a month. I can't afford that. Can't afford that. But money going and spend. So some of them, Tobago Carnival is what? This week, next week? Yeah, they don't have the tickets in hand already. Hotel done book. Guest house done book. They're ready to go. Yeah, we outside. Yeah, they done book the ticket on the ferry already. Who going up Thursday and who going up Friday and all of that. Money to, we broken. We suffering. We eating grass. So we went Miami Carnival. We going to Tobago Carnival and we can't wait for Trinidad Carnival too, but we broken. And let me come to this issue of this increase in the TNTEC rates, which has not been implemented yet. And the government continues to get blamed for that. I know it's unfortunate. The men and women of letters who know better are also jumping in this chorus about is the government and the government wicked to increase the rates and so on. There is something called the Regulated Industries Commission Act. It is available on Google. It is available online. Just go, well, whatever is your search engine, just go in and type in Regulated Industries Commission Act or RIC Act Trinidad and Tobago, and it will come up. And take a read and see that this is an independent commission. The Regulated Industries Commission Act, which governs the Regulated Industries Commission, clearly mandates and obliges the RIC to conduct a rate review every 5 years. They are supposed to, based on the law, based on the act which governs the conduct of their activities, every 5 years, they are supposed to conduct a rate review. It doesn't say that they need to acquiesce to a rate increase, because the request may not necessarily come from one of the two public utilities that falls under the RIC, which is TNTEC and WASA. They are supposed to do a review on their own without any request coming from these two entities. It's in the Act. The last time they did the job based on the Act was in 2011, right? In this instance, and when I was on that station, I would have interviewed the chairman of the RIC and the executive director. So I think it was Dawn Calendar, I think is her name, is the chairman, and Glenn Khan, who is the executive director. Both of them came at the same time. I interviewed them, and they would have explained how the RIC works, that is an independent entity, and I asked both of them, is there any involvement on the part of the minister or the cabinet with respect to this exercise? Both Ms. Calendar and Mr. Khan said no. TNTEC came to us, requested a rate increase or a rate review. The law requires us under the Act, we are obliged to conduct consultations. So we will meet with TNTEC, we will hear what is TNTEC's arguments and what is TNTEC's rationale for this rate increase that they are seeking. We will consider it. We will then go out to the public as the Act mandates us. We will conduct consultations to solicit the views of the members of the public who are to be impacted or affected should we decide to implement or to give TNTEC permission to go ahead with this rate increase. And based on the considerations from TNTEC submissions and the views of the members of the public, the RIC will then make a decision based on that. So whether they will accept what TNTEC is proposing, or if they will amend and send back something to TNTEC in this case to say, well, okay, this is what you requested, but based on consultations and based on our review and whatever investigations we did, we are saying this is what we think you should implement, this is what we are recommending. When the decision was made, I think a couple of days ago, right? He made the point. The RIC communicated to TNTEC. They didn't say the RIC communicated to the Minister of Public Utilities. They didn't say the RIC communicated with the Cabinet and they sent their decision to Cabinet for Cabinet to make a decision. That is not how it works. The RIC did their work as stipulated in the Act, and they made their decision and they communicated it directly to TNTEC. This is what our decision is. We made some changes here and there. This is what we're willing to approve. Take it from there. There was no permission required from the minister. There was no permission required from the prime minister, and there was no intervention required from the cabinet. So it wasn't something that the cabinet decided or the cabinet had a hand in. This was between RIC, TNTEC, right? There was no middleman. But the men and women of letters out there want to give you the impression that is the government do this, and that the RIC is doing the bidding of the government. The RIC is an independent commission, just like the Police Service Commission. They want to tell you the government should interfere and intervene in the function of the RIC, which is an independent commission. They have no problem with that one, but don't interfere in the business and the workings of the Police Service Commission, because it's an independent commission. Should be free from any interference from the executive or the political directorate. So they are selective in which independent commissions the government should interfere with and which ones they shouldn't interfere with. So when the interference is not to their favor, they have a problem with it. Right? Police Service Commission, merit list. The RIC doing their work, but you want now the government to intervene to tell the RIC how to do their job. That's what you want to do. Again, so now the argument is the reason why TNTEC asking for a rate increase is because the government owing TNTEC real money and TNTEC owing NGC a set of money, and this problem could be solved, TNTEC's problem could be solved simply by the government paying TNTEC whatever arrears they are owed, as if that will clear up the problem, right? But the same people wouldn't apply the same rationale for WASA, where WASA is under pressure. WASA needs money because the average citizen, you have a lot of citizens, average citizens, not government. Government probably owing WASA some money too. But in the main culprits who not paying WASA is the average citizen who owing WASA hundreds of millions of dollars. So if all you want to advocate for the government to pay TNTech the arrears that they owe, and in your estimation, that's supposed to clear up, TNTech will have more than enough money to clear up what they owe in NGC and to pay all of their bills. Well, then you all use the same rationale now. Go and pay WASA. All who owe in WASA for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years and not paying your bill, not because you can't afford it. You're not paying because you know TNTech not coming and WASA not coming to disconnect you. Go and pay WASA. So when WASA gets this money, they would not be a drain on the treasury. So the money that the government have to be pumping into WASA every year to pay salaries and to pay for pipeline and all of these different things, that money could be used for other things. Like paving road and fixing the schools and providing meals for the school children and transport and all the things you all complain that you're not getting. Always talking about the roads in a condition. Quick to go and do videos and show pictures of the roads in a bad state. But road paving all over the country. Looking like if it's in Singapore or the US or somewhere there. No pictures of that. No videos of that. No. You see more could go and burn tire and call the media to come and see, look at the poor state of the road. When it fixed and it paved, why don't call the media to come and see, yes, look, the government doing their work. Look, the road fixed. We burned tire 2 months ago, but today the road fixed. The landslip fixed. Why don't call the media to come back and see the road fixed? Well, you don't care about that. You know why? Because that will make the government look good. We're not interested in that. We're not interested in that. So the few roads that still remaining that need work, 80% of the country's roads fall under the municipal corporations, right? The Ministry of Works and Transport is only responsible for 20% of the roads. They wouldn't tell the population that. I driving out the back road in Shogunas there the other day, coming out from when you make the roundabout by Brentwood to head back into Shogunas proper on the main road to go back out onto the highway. That piece of back road, when you go through by when you make the roundabout by Brentwood, by Caribbean Housing there and you're going around, that road is in a terrible state, in a mess. That falling under FAIC and the Shogunas Borough Corporation. Where is Surud Rambachan? Surud Rambachan, who just a month or so ago, or just after the results of the local election, was saying he doesn't intend to allow the Shogunas Borough Corporation to get away with the poor work, right? The substandard work and the poor delivery of service. And he's going to form a committee or form some group to go after the Shogunas Borough Corporation to make sure they do what it is that they have to do. He's not prepared to take any shoddy work anymore from the mayor and the corporation. So he admits that for the past 3.5 years, we get in substandard work. But they wasn't doing the work. So what about that back road? Why he can't fix that? But he's starting to cut ribbon. Hey, he's making himself most present to be cutting ribbon all over the place, all these businesses. You say 1% who opening businesses all over Shogunas. He most present to cut ribbon for that though. But wouldn't do his work to pave this road. Well, all right, they will tell you, well, we're waiting for the budget. So when money released, let's see if that road will be fixed. But meantime, in other parts of the country, it's happening. So what it is that he can't do, because they're waiting for money from central government when the budget passed, but somehow the other corporations seem to be able to do their work. I just asking the question, right? So check out a lot of the corporations in which they're still complaining about the quality of the roads. See which party controlling those corporations. And remember, 80% of the roads is the responsibility of the municipal corporations. So next time, while you want to beat up on the government by the road, find out from your mayor, find out from your chairman why the road ain't paved. Why it taking so long? Because in fact, during the election campaign, one Adrian Ali, who was that's the man with the gun issues, right? Councillor from Monroe Road, Charlieville or somewhere there. Whole time during the election campaign, every day he posting up pictures on his Facebook page, road paving, thing that didn't happen in the 3.5 years while the council was running legitimately. That wasn't happening. But as soon as election come around now, he's no longer a councillor, he's a candidate, but putting up pictures, road paving, and people rightly asking, so why he wasn't doing this for the last 3.5 years? It's only as election come around, all of a sudden now road paving. Where you getting money from? Where the corporation got the money from to pave those roads during an election campaign, when the only functioning member of corporation, of council, was supposed to be the mayor and the normal staff? Where the money came from? Their stupidness. They could fool the waterfront elk. They ain't fooling me. And they're not fooling the likes of us who know better. Right? But there's road and problem with the road and okay, thing happening. Road paving. And as the minister said, They're going to continue this massive road paving exercise throughout all the way up. So take note, started before. We see in go on the Ministry of Works Facebook page, website, and you will see all the road paving. So they can't come in 2025 and say why Ole wasn't paving the road all the time. We see in the roads paving. In 2023, elections is about 2 years away, and it is the paving starting now. So you know this perennial thing we like to complain, there is wait until election. This administration is waiting until no election to pave. The paving started before the election campaign for the local government election and continues all the way up to 2025. Let me see what they're going and say now. That is why they have issues with things that the government is doing to assist the poor. So anything the government does between now and 2025 to assist the poor, they're going to say is an election gimmick. Well, I want to congratulate Mr. Imbut, Dr. Rowley, the Ministry of Housing, for this singular initiative that was initiated in 2023. And probably, I think it's before that, 2022, thereabouts. Long before any election came around, they were doing that. So if you want to, if Uncle West want to call it an election gimmick, he could call it what the hell he wants. That is not what it is. For the 600 families who will benefit over the course of the next 12 months, and the 600 who will benefit from 2024 to 25 and beyond, for them, they don't care about no election and no election gimmick, whatever they want to call it. They see an improvement with the assistance of the state. They benefiting directly from the largest or from the country's patrimony. They're benefiting from it in a serious and significant way. A house, a roof over the head, a proper roof. So all who still buying pitch oil to light lamp and all who still using candle, soon enough, they're going to have electricity. They're using bulb instead of flambeau. Thanks to who? This administration. So while Kamala Prasad is talking about land for the landless, we will give you all a certificate of comfort to go and look for plyboard, right? And galvanize to put up a shack to live in. PNM saying, we will build the house for you at no cost to you whatsoever. And we will give you something proper, something substantial. You just need to take care of it, right? All you might have to do, and they might paint it. I don't think they painted it. So you might have to buy the paint to paint it in whatever color you want. Buy a primer and whatever color. And you could do that. Fix up the inside. So whatever little money you have, you buy your furniture set, you put up your TV, you could have your television now because you have electricity. You could get cable or whatever it is, whatever you could afford. Thanks to the government doing that. And I stress, 600 families. And more often than not, these families that will be benefiting from this is the household have about 5, 6, 7 people. So multiply 5, 6, 7 by 600 families and see how many citizens, impoverished citizens of Trinidad and Tobago benefited thanks to the People's National Movement. And as Mr. Imbut said, this was the brainchild of Keith Christopher Rowley. So when they say Dr. Rowley only like the 1% and he only doing things for the 1%, and he ain't care about the poor people, tell them put that where the monkey put the nuts. Put that where the monkey put the nuts. And I hope that when these houses are built, that the persons who get it, at least that you would be so kind. Put it up. You don't need to put your name or whatever, but just show a picture so people could see the work that is being done to assist the poor. Yeah? Not that the government want to do what the People's Partnership did, to go and convert HGC houses, increase the income ceiling so that the big shots in society could benefit from low-income housing. And meanwhile, the people who really need it, out in the lurch, suffering. And it's across 26 areas in the country. 26. Nothing just 1 or 2. So they can't come and say it's in PNM areas. 26 areas persons will benefit from these houses. Thanks to this administration. That's what they spend the money on. Not $88 million on a fence. You know how many houses? Because just imagine, this administration is building 600 houses with 100 million. They spent $88 million on a fence in Golden Grove that serves no purpose. How many houses could that $88 million have built? How many? If this administration had that $88 million, they could have built probably another 400 and something, almost 500 houses additional for impoverished families. The $20 million that they spend on the happiness campaign to tell you and me what it means to be happy, to put out ads and all kind of things so that the friends and family who have advertising companies and all of that could eat our food. that $20 million could have been used for that too. Yeah, could have been used for that too. The millions they spent on the old warehouse, that money could have been used for that too. So just remember, when they want to come and tell you the extra $123 million that they spend for Eden Gardens, 123 is more than 100 million. So that could have been close to what? Maybe 750, 800 houses that 123 million could have been used to build. And I see they're making an issue now with Mark and again the Doglaya have the audacity and the temerity to come and talk about $55 million spent on what was formerly the RBC building on Park Street to house the office of the DPP. You know, if hypocrisy was a party, they have no shame. These people have no shame. They shouldn't even touch that with a 100-foot pole. But first thing, Mr. Man looked to jump out himself to do a doubles and coffee. They talk about $55 million going down the drain and whatnot and stuff. Again, I remind him, page 36 of the 36 or 32, 36 I think, the Auditor General's report of 2016, page 36, speaks to the building in Barataria, of which $53 million was spent. If I have it here, boy, I could pull it up here quickly. I'm going to get it here. Now, let's go and Google it right now while I do the same thing. It ain't going to take you that long. Let me see. Auditor General's Report 2016. Here we go. Page 36, is it? Or 32. Is either page 32 or page 36. I'm going to pull it up here for the benefit of the supporters of that other party who all over the place want to talk about that. Just remember, your government that you supported between 2010 to 2015 spent $43 million in rent on 1 Alexandra Street. $43 million in rent. And not one public servant ever stepped foot in there. They spent $120 million to outfit the building. And not one public servant ever stepped foot in there between 2010 to 2015. They spent $5 million, $1 million a year on security to guard an empty building. The only thing it had inside there was an echo. $5 million in security. Not one public servant ever stepped foot inside that building. So when all they want to come and play holier than thou and this government does waste and whatnot, 120 plus 43 plus 5. Do the math. Last I checked, that is plenty more than 55. And what was that 55 million spent on? Unlike what happened with the building in Barataria, which they rented, they leased in December of 2012, saying they're going on and they released an office space for the CPO's office. Up to January 2015, when the question was put to the Minister of Finance as to why the building remained unoccupied as stated in the Auditor General's report. The one of 3 ministers of finance, or one of 2 ministers in the Office of Finance, Rudy Indarsingh, because it was Larry Hawaii, Rudy Indarsingh, and Basan Bharat were the 3 ministers in the Ministry of Finance. Indarsingh answered the question, which was put to him by the opposition PNM, as to what was the status of the building, why it wasn't occupied. And he said, it's awaiting outfitting. 2015, January 2015, it's awaiting outfitting. You rent the building in December 2012. For the whole of 2013, no outfit. The whole of 2014, no outfit. Up to January 2015, no outfit. Well, the demitted office in September 2015, still no outfit. More than 2.5 years later, how difficult is it to outfit a building? We know they have experience because they spent $120 million to outfit number 1 Alexandra Street. But for 2 years, almost 3 years, they couldn't outfit a building. A building which we still can't find. I'm going to find it here. Let's see what page is this. All right. Yes. Page. Get it here. Page. Oh, 1 second here. Almost there. 32. Right, page 32. Subhead 17, Personnel Department. Total rent. This is the Auditor General's Report 2016, page 32 for those of you who just joining us, or if you went in your fridge to get a red shandy. Total rent $53,585,608.51. Was paid during the period the 10th of December 2012 to the 31st of July 2016 for unoccupied premises on 12th Street, Barataria, which were reportedly waiting to be outfitted. This contravenes Financial Regulation 34, which places the responsibility on the accounting officer to eliminate non-essential services and to ensure that public funds are utilized to the best advantage. Since the 10th of December 2012, they rented that building. And up to the time they left office in September 2015, it's an outfit. But Wade Mark had the audacity and the temerity to come in the Senate and boil that money that was spent on the building on Park Street, that it went to P&M financiers. So which financier, Wade, did you all pay that $53 million to? Which financier, Wade, did you all pay the $9 million to for the building that you rented on Frederick Street that was never used? Which financier, Wade, did you all pay the $5 million and the same Auditor General's report for a building that you all rented on Pembroke Street that was never used? Wade? Which financier? And that's just a few of the many buildings that you all rented between 2010 to 2015 and never used. But some landlord was smiling all the way to the bank. At least in this instance, the government did what they were supposed to do. They leased the building, they outfitted the building, they retrofitted the building, and it was ready for occupation. The DPP, however, was of the considered view that he was not satisfied with what was done and he wanted more to be done because he felt that the building wasn't safe. And so the DPP's office, refused to occupy the space, but it was occupiable. It was available to be used. It was available for occupation, unlike the building in Barataria was unavailable to be used for occupation because it was not outfitted. If you could find it, it was not outfitted. So even if they wanted to use it, it couldn't be used. Same thing with the building on Frederick Street and the building on Park Street could not be used because it was not outfitted. But at least that building on Park Street was ready and fit for occupation, as the intended tenant took the decision that the outfitting was not to his satisfaction, and therefore he chose not to occupy the building. That doesn't fall to the government. That's not the government's fault, right? The government did what they had to do because the DPP wanted a new building. It's not the government's fault if he felt, based on whatever special branch tell him, that the building was not suited to what he wanted. And he wanted further monies to be spent to do further improvements, to put fence or wall on the pavement. I don't know how that was going to work because where the DPP's office is now on Richmond Street, opposite Classic Motors, the building is a little way off from the street and it is possible, well, there's a fence, right? So there's some distance between the fence and the building. So you have to drive into the yard and have a little way. That was not possible because for those of us who are from the north and the east and so on and who know Park Street would know the building is practically on the pavement. It was previously occupied by a bank. So to be able to put up what the DPP was requesting, which was a fence or a wall, it meant that had to go on the pavement. So you couldn't walk in front of the DPP's office as you can now on the pavement that runs in front of that building. You couldn't have done that on Park Street if it is that a fence was put up there or a wall, which was impractical. And it was the landlord said, no, I am not doing that. Because today or tomorrow, you all decide that you no longer wish to occupy this building and I have to find a new tenant. That might not be suitable to what my new tenant wants. So I'm not having it. The lease has come to an end. Right. They wouldn't talk about the lease for Tobago House, where Farley and them spent $1 million plus for a building on Pembroke Street, right? Called Pembroke Place, that was supposed to house the so-called, what was akin to be an embassy, a Tobago embassy in Trinidad. $1.2 or $1.5 million was spent on that. Again, not one member, not one officer of the THA stepped foot in there. Farley paid, I think, one visit there just before they made the decision to terminate the lease. But they ain't talking about that. Wade Mark had nothing to say about that. No financiers got that. Anil had nothing to say about that. No financiers got that, right? But he quick to run and bump his gown. So when next they come with that foolishness, just remind them, please. Page 32, Auditor General's Report, 2016. Direct them to the 2016 Auditor General's Report and tell them go through the entire thing. And they will see all the instances where they rented buildings between 2010 to 2015 never used it, and millions of dollars of taxpayers' money was spent. All right? And we are paying no tit for that here. But let us differentiate. The government did what they were supposed to do, unlike what the PP did. It is the intended tenant decided he not moving into the building, and I don't think the government could have gone hold the PP Gaspard by the scruff of his neck and say, get your backside inside there, we sending you there. They couldn't do that. Okay? 770. That's not. Yes, Marlene says they never occupied that building. Angie says the 53 million could have been invested in our own radio and TV station, correct? I wonder what is the real reason why the DPP refused to move into that building. Who does the DPP report to? Well, the DPP's office really falls under the Office of the Attorney General, but it's an independent entity. So are they saying, so a bank don't need protection like the DPP office? Exactly, the bank that have millions and millions and millions of dollars. They didn't need that. But the DPP know what you want. Hold on, Jen, 1 sec. Let me just switch devices here. Right, turn this on. Connect this. Turn this on. 1 second, Jenny, hold on. Sometimes this thing cooperates, and then other times that, anytime today would be great. Great. Jenny.
Hi, good afternoon, Dominic.
Greetings.
Blessed evening to you on this rainy Sunday with the thunder and the lightning. I hope by you it is better than it is down here.
Well, I know people outside there see it overcast, but no rain yet. I'll be open.
Oh, Lord. Don't mess the thunder and lightning like that.
Wow.
But the rain has eased up now, but you still hear the rumblings of the thunder. But it could have been worse. Blessed afternoon to Sister Angie, Sherry, and Sadina. I think it's Koshi. They always give me shout out and stuff once I tune in. Dominic, you see, right now, I think the UNCS, people like Anna Roberts et al., people are really getting fed up on them. It may not look so because social media seem to amplify everything to make it seem as they have real support. Sometimes a lot of the people who are tuning to me who's just listening and not really subscribing to what they say, but I still want to hear curiosity, that kind of way. Anna Roberts has no moral authority to talk to nobody in this country, especially female. It has been alleged that he's an abuser. We would have seen him drunk as a fish, as a skunk, as we call it on Carnival Day. I would have seen him in our ministry when he was a minister drunk like a fish also. He could deny it if he want. So in my mind, I've always classed him as, based on those interactions, as an alcoholic. An alcoholic don't tend to make the best decisions, and they're always under the influence. They may not appear where they can't walk properly and all that, but every day they drink until they're ready to binge. Based on that and the things that he's saying, Anna Roberts don't have any relevance. And I guess because the UNC has realized that the government, the PNM government, would have done so well under Dr. K. Christopher Rowley, especially coming out of COVID-19 and the way he would have steered the country, the whole health system, the Minister of Health, the CEO, Dr. Parishram, and all the other professionals and the public officers, how they would have done to keep us safe. And still coming out of that, we are being rated by 3 credit rating agencies, international agency, 1 regional and 2 international, that we have a good credit rating. And this situation with Minister Stuart Young, the entry sector, and all the work he would have done in securing and making sure that the contracts that we would have had with Venezuela and other companies, that it came into fruition, and we're seeing the benefits of that is with us that. When you look at that and look at the prosperity that this government has brought into the country, again, the UNC have nothing much to hold on to. So what they will sing to is their habit, their creative habits. So it will be insults, misinformation, propaganda, and lies. We have to understand and know and feel it out and stop being lazy and go and search all the information. Ask somebody. Listen to programs like yours, Ms. Deji, Ms. Felix, so many others who are out there doing social media work, those who are putting up their posts, I know they're Dan Joseph and so many others. Read those stuff and you don't understand, call somebody and ask somebody a question. But as I leave again, you're so correct with the TNTech situation. Because I have a judgment in my hand where that has to do with, it's a 2021 judgment, 2022 judgment by the Industrial Court and Estate Police. It's a matter that has been in the Industrial Court since 2018, where negotiation would have broken down for Estate Police and TNTech. TNTech was offering 6% and Estate Police didn't want the 6%. They would have the negotiation fell apart and it went to the Natural Place Industrial Code 2018. And that judgment came out in 2022 as last year. And what would have informed the judgment of the judges in the Industrial Code was a meeting that the commission, the commission had in front of the JSC Parliament in 2021, where they were telling the general manager at the time, Mr. Ramsuk, I think it was telling the JSC that TNTech has not made a profit since 2011, and every year they're operating on $1.1 billion deficit that they owe into NGC. And they asked them, the financial officer said at TNTech said that, economic tariffs is what will be able to try to take them out of the arms that they're in. And the JSC asked, what you mean by this economic tariffs? And he explained it, the increases in electricity. So the JSC asked him, are you going to approach the RIC? And they said, yes, they will have to. And this is what we are seeing now. So you're very correct on what you're saying, but again, people continue to just listen to Dumb and Dumber, and then it have more dumb and more sis dumb, like just going on. I personally believe that you have to be paid to be singing dumb, so you can't be doing that willingly. I think your motivation is being paid to be singing so foolish. But at the end of the day, Dominic, as I close, thank you always for the opportunity to have this discourse, and we need to stay woke, we need to stay relevant, and we need to bring out the information. Because right now in England, they're talking about energy poverty, and that's because the subsidies that England was offering their citizens, and up until I think about April or February this year, they have cut that. So people haven't had challenge to pay for electricity and for heating and all that. So they're in a real mess, and they are 4 seasons. So when you look in comparison to what we have in here, and people want to jump out themselves to talk about the government, wicked and bad, and we mark this despicable human being, in my opinion, to talk about social unrest because of the property tax and all that. And some of them on their side pay property tax in America and they're not complaining, they're not rioting. Some of them, when they go to America, their families living in homes that they're paying electricity bills and all the taxes, and they're not complaining, they're not rioting. In Barbados, they raise the price of cooking gas near the Barbados people, the citizens rioting or behaving in that way. So wait, Mark, you are despicable. And the things that you're wishing is what will happen to you within probably your household. Because they have a way of things even. So Dominic, have a blessed weekend again. Blessed week coming ahead, and thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Jen. Hello, good afternoon. Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yes, Dominic, what's up? Sorry, I had some rumbling on my side here. Dominic, good contribution from this journey. Right? Good program as usual, it matters. Dominic, it is boggles in mind how some people put graffiti to somebody as Arnold Roberts. Right? And the sad thing about it is that these type of fellas and they have a following. They have a large following and others graffiti towards their message. Despite knowing these fellas shady past.
Yes.
Right? He still haven't explained to us whether it was he in that video, in a house of disrepute. We come clear on that matter. And then have men and women gravitating to one another as some kind of role model. Something is off with us. And to consider the dress code with the Prime Minister, let's let Dr. Advocate here. When the good lady was the Prime Minister, and she held meeting in her residence in the Philippines, wasn't it that she used a dress in she bathsuit or something like that? In her pajamas? The whole meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go further too. When Israel came in as a senator, what kind of suit he was wearing? It was a Nero suit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And people didn't know what to say about it. People complained. But you know what? People said just like because it was a popular style dress, right?
Yes.
It was an Indian wear. Right, it was an Indian wear. So people say, okay, the Indian wear he wear, and the Nero suit is a popular suit. When Gerald Jackman came in with this type of suit, did people complain? No. When the goodly so-called chief secretary, I would say the so-called Procurement prime minister after the goodly decided, well, you know what, people who go in the government ministry to conduct business, they were just down.
Yes.
Anybody had issues with it? Did UNC have issues with that? Did Arnold Roberts complain about it? Did Arnold Roberts make a video about that? No, they didn't. Right? And concerning with the increase in recent days, a lot of people something. When you go in the United States of America or go to some other countries, or you conform to the rules, right? I heard somebody call on that particular radio station of Iowa saying that it is the government right to subsidize things. Really? Could you ask the government of America if they could subsidize gas? I just ask the question. Could you demand the government to the United States of America to subsidize the citizens when it comes to gas and electricity? Something is wrong with us. And this is all you have to do. I am waiting with British to see how much people will go to Carnival and spend their money. Dominic.
Yes. The usual.
I'm waiting to see.
The usual.
Because you can't come and tell me that the government wicked and bad and all you're finding $1,000 to go and jump in on your G-string, spend money for ferry and book movement to Tobago, all you're finding money. But come to the little thing like paying property tax and building tax and stuff like that, all you're complaining. All your focus, man, all you take a struggle, no, man. Take a struggle. And of course, I notice people paying smarter foolishness. The protests that we saw with these UWI teachers, with these UWI professors and them, all you complaining about money and stuff like that. But one of our other spokespeople showing a job at the government saying that don't raise up the government not raising the bill, it's the RIC, like everybody say, it's the RIC, and they had public consultation. Can't take any proposal raise up the thing as yet. It is from the RIC and the government. What people don't understand English language or what? I don't know thing. I know what make it start to. I hear one Mr. Owen Safety. You know who Owen is?
Yes.
Making a video too about how the government fooling people that they raise up the gas money. So all the minimum wage that they raise up, that money will go to pay for it. So what kind of conspiracy theory is that? Owen says about people who used to be a PNM. I don't know what PNM do to he. I think there's nothing from the PNM and all of us are back to the PNM.
Yes.
I can't understand that, boy. Oh God, man, what a struggle, man. That thing with Dr. Rowley is not true. Right? After so where is the good lady? Is she coming back from her sick leave? Is she going for sick leave and vacation leave? When is she coming back in the country? Where is the opposition leader? That is the question that the UN should be asking. And where is the bad boy Carnival?
Yes.
Is he out of the country as well? Where are they? When are the opposition leaders coming back to the country? That is what I want to know. To conduct the people business. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You too. You know, I wanted to mention something quickly, right? With respect to that program yesterday. That's not Brian. Hold one second. Yesterday, Professor Misinformation and the one from Brooklyn, who always love to call in to talk about the minimum wage is $15, and in America, what $100 could buy and all of this and whatnot. You know what's the issue I have with him? You're always quick to talk about the minimum wage and the cost of living in the US and how much this could buy, how much salmon and all that. You know what he don't talk about? He live in Brooklyn. Let me read for you from a pay slip from a friend of mine who also lives in Brooklyn. Right? So when he want to make it seem like it's all honky-dory living in the US and everything is all great and good and wonderful and veritable utopia, hear what he don't talk about. This is the pay slip. So this person earns, this is the fortnight pay. worked for 70 hours, and the salary was $4,307.48. Right? 70 hours. He's a software engineer, so he gets paid fortnightly. Out of this $4,307.48, he had to pay federal withholding tax of $695.59, Social Security tax $263.13, Medicare tax of $61.54. New York withholding tax, so this is the state tax, $212.26. New York family leave insurance, $19.61. And then New York City withholding tax, $156.48, for a grand total of $1,408.59. Brooklyn don't talk about tax. No, he don't talk about tax. Everything great come across in the US. So when Professor Misinformation talking about $15 an hour, why are you doing in Trinidad? Yeah, go across there. And all these taxes, see how much of that, out of that $15 an hour you're making, how much coming out in tax. But they don't talk that, So $1,400 basically you could say in taxes. Multiply that by 7. So what he paid in taxes for one fortnight is somebody's salary in Trinidad and Tobago for the whole month. But they don't talk that. Brian, talk to me.
Good afternoon to you, Dominic.
Greetings, sir.
Good afternoon to all your listeners and callers. Dominic, you know, I don't comment really much on these people, like wallpaper on them.
Yeah.
It's because I have a brother and a sister that are now American citizens that live in these states. And I know what their bills are. But they tell me all the time whenever we talk, whenever we speak.
Yeah.
So I understand very, very clearly. And the thing is, Dominic, you can't run from it. You can't say you're paying it.
Yeah.
Because Uncle Sam grabbing it early.
Correct.
And you deal with the rest. You understand? So I don't worry with these fellas who want to try to sell a nice times, because there are many Trinbagonians. They tell you they have 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet. Many of them are trying their best in order, because they have to pay the bills. You can't run from it,
Yeah.
But you see wallpaper, and then they'll come with the stupidness every time and try to sell this and sell it to those who don't know better, who just hate this, who just hate the pay them and pay proudly. That is all it is. That is all it is. And some of them even know better too. But it is what it is. Dominic, I'm telling you this. Every time you speak about this gentleman who you do always like us to listen to, I'm going to tell you this. You recall, I believe it was 2016, 2017, somewhere around there, there was another hurricane that literally decimated Dominica.
Yes.
And the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley, was just asking out loud for some of the children to come here while the rebuilding process went on temporarily. And I'm certain you remember the uproar on that we had no room for them.
Yes.
Don't bring them here. This, that, and the other. Not only just left it alone because he got what he wanted to get out of it by speaking aloud. And when you have people, because the Honorable Mr. Saunders, who is the Antigua and Barbuda UN representative ambassador to the United Nations, who sat next to Dr. Rowley and attempted to explain the reason why he was in that attire. And to hear people coming and calling the man a damn blasted liar and calling, and you see, it doesn't work well for when we have to deal with our CARICOM neighbors. Because they will not forget. You see, they will not forget. And maybe one day, they may have to do something for us. And we have to go there to holiday.
Yes.
You understand? And we have to be very careful what we say about our CARICOM brothers and sisters. Because look at what happened with Jamaica. People forgetting, because they say 8 years passed. And then I say, can't remember. But we were almost, our manufacturing sector, private sector was almost decimated because our biggest market is Jamaica. And we were almost decimated because of what Kamala Prasad would have done to our PP government. Because they were angry with us. And if they believe that we could do it without CARICOM, they lie. Because the Honorable late great Eric Eustace Williams said 1 from 10 leaves naught. And he knew why he said that. You understand? And we have to, and people have to understand that when these people speak and they say these things they say about our CARICOM people, it's going to affect us sometime, somewhere down the road. Because you know why? In this modern technological age, you go play it back. And it ain't gonna be nice. So we have to be very, very careful and to listen to this waste of time. Imps who still can't tell me where we $400 million gone yet. You understand? And dragging heat or looking back to all over Port of Spain. We just going to have to simply leave these people and don't say anything. Because look here. Whenever the Prime Minister goes for a medical checkup, they want to know where he's going, where he's going to check up, where is he going to check up. Look, the opposition leader going away in the height of our standing finance committee. Go on to your own business. Anybody asking any question? Anybody asking where Lucky 7 gone? I could tell you about Lucky 7 being overpay. But it is what it is. And we have to be very, very careful. You understand what we say about our CARICOM people. And with respect to the RIC, Dominic, TNTech is owing NGC over $5 billion for gas that they cannot pay. And every time we lose electricity in Trinidad and Tobago, the opposition always wants to know what caused that.
Yes.
Things so bad with TNTech. What are they doing about TNTech? What are they doing about WASA? Every Monday morning, something about WASA and something about TNTech. If TNTech needs to make money to give us an improved supply of electricity, and we need to also deal with WASA as well, what is wrong with that? How much more money we have? You know, you can't get a flight to go to Tobago, Dominic, for Carnival. I call the place where I normally stay.
Yes.
You know what they're telling me? So you have to apply online, and I don't think it'll make any sense right now because I think we are fully booked. So everybody gone to Tobago, no problem, flights like rain. Airbridge and Seabridge, plus the capacity. Because they tell you, you know what, it doesn't matter, I was just checking, I ain't going nowhere. Right. But I was just checking. And it just goes to show you, Dominic, we complain on one hand here, but on the next hand, everybody's fetting like normal. According to you, Carnival coming next year, and people that are organizing already, people want to know already pets and what was going on. Because that is how we are. But the little money to pay to see this country spend properly. No, sir, we can't spend $81. You go down the road today, Dominic, and you come back home and you find $100 left. I wonder what to do with that money. You go on Friday night on Arpita Avenue to Basan Lime or down south or anywhere, and you realize, hey, you spent $300, $400, $500. No problem. You go out to work Monday morning and say, I had a great weekend. Yes. But people want to, and then we don't talk about dumb and dumber. But don't talk about it. It's painful to listen to them two wanna be good for nothing salad food. Them are brainless, totally brainless. They have no value whatsoever, but people applaud them and they feel good about it. So what do they do? That is their drink and food because they get an extra hour and they all know 5 days a week. So from 4 o'clock after Julia Davy and Mr. Ruka finish, I switch. I'm not listening to them. You still good to listen to them. That's up to you, Dominic. You could go ahead, but not me. I'm not listening to them because it's painful, really, really painful. I think them and Greenham and Coffee, Doubles and Coffee, all of them in the same boot. But let them tell us where Lucky 7 gone. Let them tell us where Lucky 7 gone to do this procedure. Because we need to know she's a public servant. She's a public individual. So we need to know. Yes. The same way they say Dr. Rowley is a public figure, but she's a public figure too. So we need to know where Lucky 7 gone. Dominic, you have a great day.
Thank you, sir. And you too. Right, let me see here. Hello, good afternoon.
Good morning, Dominic.
Good day, sir.
Yes, sir. I mean, I'll be very short to this contribution.
Yes.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I listened to this program. I'm asking, I'm requesting that they do a program, right? Comparing Dr. Longley governance and the ex-Prime Minister's governance, right? See who it is that is taking this nation forward with all the trips that he's making, and the next one, what she did with the trips she's making. What did it benefit Trinidad and Tobago? I could draw a reference to something.
Yes.
Right now, Dr. Rowley is negotiating for investment to come back into the country where they run from the country. Right? And next thing is, he never go nowhere and kiss nobody foot nowhere and carry a big entourage to see him do that. He never do that. Right? Dr. Rowley never write any letter to anybody to stop them from progressing, from Trinidad and Tobago from progressing out there in the world. He never do them things. Right? He never come on the air and talk about if 500 people of a certain ethnic group vote or 5,000 vote, things will change. You don't do them things. You have not time for that. Dr. Rowley's a nation building in a troubled time like this. That's what this man doing. But I'm just asking, please, Dominic, to do a program comparing the board governance.
Yes.
Please, asking.
All right.
I will do that for you. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, so while Dr. Rowley going to Canada to beg for help to deal with the crime situation that they're complaining about, they ain't feeling safe. People migrating because Trinidad is safe again and Trinidad is at this and that. While he begging for help to fix the country, what Kamala was begging for? Sanctions. Yeah, she was begging for sanctions. Earlier, Delcy, I remember Delcy and Wilma Ruperti. How come they stop talking about Delcy and Wilma Ruperti? Every week, every day. He was hearing that from the Doglaya, Wilma Ruperti and Delcy come here on a sanctioned aircraft and all of that. They know all of that, you know. They have the manifest from the airport authority and they can read out and tell you the serial number on the plane and all of that they could tell you. And that is what they were about. But today, Keith Rowley stood his ground. Or let's talk about stand your ground. Well, Keith Rowley stood his ground. That is why today we are making strides with respect to the Dragon gas deal. 4 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, at least. Who knows how much more it have? And what other opportunities that would present for us for other oil and gas opportunities in Venezuela. As I said before, and you know, all these people who I see talking about this government and they sign agreement and non-disclosure agreements and all of that. Let me tell them something, right? That is Venezuela's gas. It's not Trinidad and Tobago's gas. Therefore, we have to work with Venezuela and their terms. And if they say non-disclosure agreement because they are doing business with other countries, other oil companies, right? Other energy companies, and therefore, whatever it is they negotiate with Trinidad and Tobago is not the same terms they will negotiate with other companies, and therefore they protected their business. We have no choice but to abide by that because that is their gas. So somebody needs to let these people know this is not, Dragon is not Trinidad and Tobago gas. The majority belongs to Venezuela. And if all you don't like non-disclosure agreement, well, hear what? Tell Kamala, write Maduro, and tell Maduro we don't want no non-disclosure for his gas, and he could take it. Like Roger told who it was BP or whatever, take all your rig and go. Tell Kamala and Munilal to write to Maduro and tell him take Dragon and go. Tell him do that. And all have no problem with that. Since all have a problem with non-disclosure agreement and don't understand why it must be anyway. Something really wrong with all yes? Really, really wrong with all. But that is who we must bring back to govern this country. Look. Let's not call how much get this thing here. Right. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and Dominic, watching some of the reading some of the comments, these calls are laughing. Yeah, I see in Lucky 7, the tourists. Yeah, the tourists. The tourists are real. I don't know that. But Dominic, I don't know, something is wrong with Roberts in his head, I know. He is what you call yourself, he's a black man. So because you call yourself a Douglas, you have a right to talk your other half.
Yes.
I just want to tell people like Anna Roberts and all those so-called people who have African blood in them, or they could feel, or they could have the superiority complex in this country. But when you go to the Caucasian countries like the United States of America and Great Britain and all those so-called colonial masters who you want to run to, you know what they call you? They won't see you as a mixed person. They won't see you as a brown-skinned person. They will call you a black person or in the most derogatory term at N. You understand?
Yes.
Dominic? I have that examples. That lady, the young woman who married one of the royalties, right? When you look at her, you wouldn't believe that she's black. She could pass for what you call those people who live in those brown-skinned European and Mediterranean woman.
Yes.
She could pass for a Mediterranean woman. But because it was revealed that she has a black mother, as far as people are concerned, she is black. Right? Or the worst derogatory term. That is the reason why she and her husband had to leave Great Britain. Because as far as they're concerned, she is not accepted in the royal family. And certain people in Great Britain do not like that marriage between her and her President Bud.
Right.
So they had to leave. I could say the same thing with Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey is a well-known singer, but she could pass for as a Latino, as a white.
Yes.
But she is mixed, right? And as far as people are concerned, she's an N. So all those people in this country with high skin, high color, and feel that they could pass for white, let it go to the United States of America, let it go to Great Britain, and you'll see how much white they will classify you as. Dominic, you have a good day.
You too, sir. Yeah, and I'm seeing some pictures of the rain in Port of Spain, Pelham Street in Belmont. Under some serious water, I see a whole water tank floating down Pelham Street. Pressure, yeah, a whole water tank floating down Pelham Street. There's some serious rain here, but I said we overcast here, but yeah, for the last few days, this rain only given us a Maggie on this side. Let me say good afternoon to Mother Tuna. Puna, afternoon, Mother. Thank you for joining on the live. I know you always listen. So, Sir Anil Roberts is an Englishman. He forgot to help him get his citizenship. Right. Bunch of jokers. Let me see what's the time now. I'll probably take 2 more quick calls before I run off. See what I have here. I see all telecommunications company raise the cost of their services, not a word was uttered. Exactly. Be mobile, Flow, Digicel. And they take it easy like that, and paying it. And Marie Rice is saying if you live in New Jersey and work in New York, you have to pay 2 state taxes. You must also pay Social Security and unemployment. The US gives you nothing, and the unemployment you get is what you pay. When it runs out, you have to go back to work. Wow. Janet Lewis Reed says, yes, in New York, they lost everything, especially those who renting basements. Let me see here. Laverne says only in Trinidad people don't pay property tax. That's unheard of. Right? In Guyana, they pay property tax in Barbados. Unlike those other Caribbean countries, whereas we are paying, our property tax will be based on the annual rental value. They pay property tax on the market value of their homes. So you'll be paying property tax based on what the discounted value that your property could get in rent for the year. Right? So if it's 36,000 or 24,000, whatever, minus the 10%, and then you pay 3%. In those other countries, your house worth $1.5 million, $2 million, $1 million, the assessed value, you will pay a tax on that. Yeah, you pay a tax on that. So let me see here. Janet says it is higher in Boston. The taxes in Boston are higher than in New York. Wow, interesting. So that's not it. Hold on. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Well, I just call and let you all know what you done. Tune on, thing that Jenny. Good contribution again. And keep it up, Jenny, keep it up. Because as I said, what has happened is that it have things that, you Jenny and you all would say. And like when you all say it again, it's new information we, the listeners, just pick up. Because, if you have to, just like how they do the false information, they'll keep repeating things that is false. We have to keep repeating the truth. And one good thing about the truth is that when something happens, if it's 20 years after, you will remember it exactly how it happened. So they can't fool us.
Yes.
Kamala Prasad Bissessa and Anil Roberts, she has been warned about Anil. She's still holding on to Anil Roberts. Anil Roberts is a total embarrassment for Trinidad and Tobago. He's made his life, people sharing it. And it's embarrassing Trinidad and Tobago. Just imagine that they could pick up on the social media the things that they've been saying about Dr. Rowley, and it's so unfair that CARICOM has to respond to those things. And instead of the opposition was supposed to be responsible in the first place, what they were supposed to do is get the information and then come out. But they came out with false information, put it up there. People, some people pick up that and run with it. Now that the people gave an official CARICOM statement to clarify it, and Anil Roberts, like a fool as he is making these outrageous things and embarrassing the people. What do you think can happen if Kamala Prasad, Lord forbid, gets back in power of Trinidad and Tobago? You think she'll have a good relationship with Caribbean or CARICOM neighbors? And we have to start thinking about these things.
Yes.
I mean, they're twisting the actual, the actual issue. Some people weren't so clear about it, so here's the reason why we had the official person for CARICOM on the meeting respond to it and clear the air. And a lot of speculation and this and that, and they're talking about the shalala thing and this and over Ali and all kind of nonsense. He talking and people repeating this crap that he's saying until you have to put the information there. So Dominic, let me ask a question. So they think that CARICOM is part of the PNM or some kind of thing, that CARICOM will do this for PNM?
Yes.
They're not sounding like they're educated when they make these kind of assumptions. CARICOM is CARICOM. We have to have a good relationship. We went there to lobby and to put forward our case for the Caribbean. Right? The Canadian Prime Minister had this thing to meet with his Caribbean counterparts through the Westminster system that we think to all of us under the same system. And everybody's now teaming up with one another for, to strengthen ties with each other in trade and everything. And the opposition coming to mess it up. And that's exactly what happened. And they think that when they get on like fools, so it's only for Trinidad to listen. People outside are listening. You can't tell the man that that is not his business and to shut up and all kind of nonsense. This CARICOM you're talking about.
Yes.
He has authority to speak on behalf of CARICOM. We have membership on the CARICOM. Anil Robert is totally out of place. And something needs to be done about this gentleman. And the person who has to deal with him is Kamala Prasad Bissessa, because nobody voted for Anil Roberts. She appointed Anil Roberts. Nobody voted for him. So she has to remove him. He's an embarrassment to this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And continues, so to be. Kathy Ann Yearwood said, my daughter leave New York because the cost of living was so high. And she bought a house in Florida. Yeah. Brooklyn won't tell you about that. Yeah, New York is the place to go, man. Easy living, $15 an hour. And you could spend $100 and buy 20 pounds of rice and this and that and the other and the next. And Professor Misinformation take lapping that up, Yeah, this government, they're wicked. They ain't doing nothing for poor people, this government, and everything is this government. Right. Hating because what? Your boss ain't get the votes? And if you by doing what all they're doing there, and you get the PNM out of power, and the UNC will come in, and as soon as they come in, they just give them the boats. There's something called the Procurement Act, which they wanted to be proclaimed, and it has been proclaimed. In fact, you know what? One of the highlights for me of the Standing Finance Committee aspect of the budget was when members of the opposition asking a whole set of questions at the government. Well, you all allocated X amount of money last year for this project and that project, and we are seeing that only a fraction was spent. And could you tell us the reason why so much money was allocated for this and allocated for that, and only this portion was spent, and so on? And almost on every occasion, the minister had to respond, well, because of the challenges encountered with the proclamation of the Procurement Act that all they wanted, right? We don't have vendors who are now registered with the procurement regulator to complete the work. So in some cases, the projects have stalled because the contractors now have to register with the OPR registry. They have to be pre-qualified and approved before the government could do business with them. So unless that happens, you know what? Project is in abeyance. The money allocated, but we can't do nothing. Whose fault is that? Is all ever saying that the government don't want to proclaim the Procurement Act because they want to give their friends, family, and financiers contract because they build in Balize House and they want to get the contractors and then big contractor fund Balize House. Well, they wanted it. Well, they get it now. And now you're coming to ask why this project can finish and why this money is spent. That is why. That is why when David Lee coming to ask, well, what about the proclamation for the aspect of the Local Government Act, so that councillors could now be full-time and they could get the pay. You see what they're studying? Money. When would the councillors be declared full-time so they could get the increase in pay now? So perhaps the 10% that the UNC charging them now, charging their councillors every month to put towards paying the rent for the headquarters, they could 10% of a higher salary be a little more, we could get a little more kakada. Because the financiers and them don't want nothing to do with them. They want nothing to do with them. They're running from them like that. They realize their election prospects is slim to none coming out of the local government election, despite all the mama guy chop it up. They want to talk about they win popular vote and this is a minority government and all that foolishness. You might fool your base, but you're not fooling your financiers. So they're not shelling out no money behind a party that has little to no chance of winning a general election. But anyway, yeah. So that's what happening. So when all this seating is happening and you want to know why this ain't finished yet and why that ain't finished, ask who was begging for the proclamation of the Procurement Act. Ask them. They're supposed to know. So miss us with that BS, please. Anyway, folks, thank you all for joining me today. Always a pleasure. Let me just read a couple more of the comments here. Let me say good afternoon to Mr. Chance, Mr. Yates. You see Angie. How long I see Angie? Somebody says I was a fool. If they come into power, God forbid, they will give their own, the boats. I see the wall under the street. It's on 91.9. What a waste of time with 2 followers. Yeah, I see he coming to talk about the increase in the electricity rates and want to do comparison with the rest of the Caribbean. He's an ex-fool. He just as bad as that one from Brooklyn. Always come in to have a comment, but why? I don't know why he don't do a show about what's happening in New Jersey. Want to talk about crime in Trinidad and want to talk about the cost of living in Trinidad and all of that. Why he don't study the percentage of the population over the amount of people in New Jersey living below the poverty line is higher than the entire population of Trinidad and Tobago. He should talk about that. Talk about the fact that when you wanna come and talk about crime in Trinidad and so on, that in New Jersey you're not safe. You could walk out your house to mow your lawn, and the next thing you have a statistic of a mass shooting, which is about 500 mass shootings they've had in the US so far for the year. Right? You could go to the mall, you go to the grocery, you go to church, you're dropping your children off to school. Nowhere is safe. Nowhere is safe over there. Anywhere you could go. You could just be driving home and have a random shooting on the highway. Because of road rage, somebody pull out the gun and decide to fire a shot, and you get shot. Like I saw a story a couple of weeks ago that happened in the US. Innocently, woman gets shot. Road rage business. She had nothing to do with it. You know, the person opened fire on somebody else, and she picked it up. But they won't talk about that. He won't talk about that. But quick, he knew everything that happened in Trinidad. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, brother.
Hi, good man.
Yo, as we continue going forward, I agree with a couple of callers back when he said all we have to do is share the truth, you know, and the truth will come out. And I will just wish that the PNM's social media officer and the various arms, the Ministry of Communication, will ramp up the game and give us the information. Let's flood the waves with the information and what people, what is out there for people and so on. You know, and you know, the point you raised about the RIC and so on, these are the same people who talk about the government interfering with the work of independent bodies and so on.
Yes.
But they're asking now for the government to interfere with the work of independent bodies. You know what? Their crusader in chief will come forward and go to and bring forward a point to have the most favored freedom chambers take something all the way to the Privy Council to say that the government is usurping its function. The executive is encroaching on other areas of independence contrary to the Constitution. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right?
Very good.
All we have to do, Dom, and other listeners, viewers, all over, people who have sense, as I would call them, is just to continue to share the truth. Share the truth, and that will set us free. Mind you, we may not be able to sway some of them because they're so ensconced in the, you know, the geometry and so on, that it's hard for them to break away from that.
Yeah.
You know, but that is all we have to do. Just keep saying truth. I like how you raised the point about Senator Fetterman, who incidentally, before he was senator, was the governor of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Right? He's the most recent governor, because his attorney general is now the governor. That is Mr. Josh Shapiro. He succeeded him, Senator Fetterman, as the governor. And that is how the man was dressing all along. All on his campaign, when he suffered the unfortunate medical issue, the mini stroke and so on.
Yes.
I think it's only on one occasion he would have won a suit throughout the whole campaign and so on. And you know what's strange, but the same Lakshmi Diana criticized in the Prime Minister's time, which was clarified. You know, there's the same people who champion the Chief Secretary for his relaxation of the rules for dress and entering government buildings.
Correct.
You understand? But they want to jump. Listen, I just so dismissive of these people and so on. That, boy, we just had to lead them in a thing by themselves, boy. But I want to say about going forward, right?
Yes.
I would really want, as part of the government, for us as well, going forward with negotiations that would come for the period of 20 to 22. It's a seriously look at innovative ways to stop the credit union movement in the tracks. And one of the ways I would want them to think, you see that same thing like how you speak about with the housing initiative. How about all the unions who have companies doing various services? How about them partnering with the government to offer some of these same property people who they say dispossessed and who were former union members coming together under the umbrella of labor solidarity and offering them some employment or partnership with the government to have people who they consider to be mendicant and seriously financially challenged employed in some of these companies. Because people like the Seamen and Waterfront Trade Unions, they have a company that cleans vessels on the port and thing. The OWT always boasts about the cooperative that they have. How about that? How about really coming on board and saying, government, we'll match you with one, creating employment for people, and two, making a wider financial pie for more people. How about that? How about that? I would like the government to challenge them on that when they come to negotiate and so on, right? I want the government to perhaps look at some of the surplus in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund to look at perhaps challenge some to assist the NIB in terms of the pension ceiling, right? And the payment of pension. not to stop them from saying that they wouldn't be pension eligible at 65, but to be innovative. And I'll call again for the minister to seriously look at the 10% cap on investments outside of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Right? And take off some of that conservatism and help the NIB to help us, to help the citizens.
Yes.
And finally, I want to say, I listened to the great pains Mr. Bong took on Friday to try to justify his position on what the minister would have said to us. I didn't call him, but I just laughed. When I still look at this, if this man is accusing the minister of being hunky-dory and gung-ho and speaking of truths, well, as far as I could recall them, what the minister said is what we had with Venezuela was an MOU to negotiate.
Yes.
Right? On the dragon field and other development. The minister never sounded as if we had contracts. He knew that the hard work has to be done now. But what he brought to the national community, what he brought us is that, listen, we now have this 2 years to period, and because we were ready, they were ready, negotiations can begin in earnest now.
Yes.
And we are fully aware that Trinidad and Tobago has no entity to bring the gas to market. That is why the partnership is existing with the multinationals in the energy sector. Right? So I say, wow, boy, even that, somebody can be truthful about and just come and say, well, listen, the effort of the minister is to be appreciated. And the truth of what he said is out there. We just can't say that, boy. But they want to be patriots, and those of us who are discerning and follow along, right, must be able to call them out on these things and say, no, only irresponsible. I'm looking for an update on Curtis Williams' article about the energy situation. They will come and admit, listen, I was wrong. You think you see that boy down in the Business Guardian, boy?
Nope.
Wow. You understand? But I just say, my brother, will continue prosecuting the case of why this administration must be given 5 more years. And why we knew that things could only get better once we stay the course. Right?
Yes.
Brighter days are ahead. Brighter and better days are ahead for us. We just have to hold straight. We just have to hold straight and stand firm in what is being done for our benefit.
Indeed.
Take care, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
No problem.
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Hello.
I forgot to mention something. With the payslip that they did the breakdown on, right?
Yes.
There are people that have mortgage to pay. There are people that have rent to pay. And then you have, I will call miscellaneous. You understand it? And then you have cable and all these things. So when you do a breakdown from that, a complete breakdown from that payslip, that's the reason why a lot of people have to do 2 jobs.
Correct.
You understand? So
Correct.
when they're making it look like things nice, it's not basically like that. You know? It has been really a hustle.
Yes.
You understand? And when winter time now, you have to have proper clothing and all these things. It's a cost. Sometimes you have to wear clothes from back then. So, you know, it's not hunky-dory. And you know that.
I know that, yes.
Okay? All right, so you have a blessed week.
You too. Yeah, because that guy, that piece of rent, they still had to pay rent $2,700 a month. So, yeah, that was what he had left over from one pay. So I'll wait till the next fortnight. Hello, good afternoon. Yes, sir.
I'm not talking about the miscellaneous thing. You know, everybody like to treat themselves. The KFC and pizza and all those stuff like that.
Yes.
After that, people don't buy the stuff and make your own here, make your own chicken.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be much more economical than eating out.
Yeah.
And also be a little healthier. I know man who would spend $200 on hamburgers, right?
Yes.
I probably have when you pizza burger boy. When you could go in the supermarket yourself, buy your buns, buy your patties, buy your ketchup, the other thing.
Yes.
And then have at least 2 meals. They pay you 2 hamburgers instead of the 1 burger for yourself and probably the rest of your family. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that some people who say it is better to make your own doubles because they don't know what the food vendors put inside there when they're doing their own stuff to sell their people. Because they heard talks on the road that they put in feces in the doubles. So I just want people that don't know to consider themselves and try to make your own thing. You know, instead of eating out.
Yes.
They'll probably save more money too. I think that's the best thing to do. But we don't know. I don't know if people here don't like to cook. Particularly ladies and them. Like I say again, they rather spend time to buy 15 years and things to go to Carnival. And instead of paying your bills and they're complaining. Never got it done.
You too. Right, so that's it from me for today, folks. Let me go and see what I do in the kitchen. If I'm going to do anything in the kitchen. Yeah. Why they're now talking about doing stuff home instead of eating out. Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, let me see. You're most welcome, Deborah. Sarah says, "Oh, Mariano, come forward. Look, 2 questions there for you to answer. You like to answer questions. Ask Mariano, bro, why he had to leave Barbados. Also ask him if he, oh Lord, I don't have court. Well, I have court close. I don't have court time, as I always say. So, folks, thank you so much for joining me today. Always a pleasure. We will chat again on Tuesday morning. God's willing. Hopefully, there'll be nothing. That I don't think I have any early meetings on Tuesday. Yeah, but things happen, and I really don't like to postpone or reschedule the lives to Wednesday or Friday when Sharon is there, because someone told me recently, I stick away from Sharon program because they can't watch the both. And Sharon is my girl, right? So I don't want to interfere with that. Tuesday and Thursday and Sunday is neither here nor there with me. Yeah, we are no friend. I mean, from 11 till 3 or 11 till 4, whoever it is, I couldn't care less. So, yeah, I know. Anyway, forget it. We will chat on Tuesday, folks. For those of you who want to go and take a peep at wallpaper, let me know. I know you don't hear another substance to talk about, so that's another waste of time. So thank you so much, and we will chat again on Tuesday morning, God's willing.